Chapter 935. Reversal of the Situation. Chapter 932. Reversal of the Situation. Gu Chunsha had already guessed what the trump card of the heavenly court was. It must be the combination of the heavenly pillar of chaos and the bottomless sea of sin in the center of the divine land, thus completely destroying the current structure of the four wastelands of the divine land and turning the divine land into the heavenly court again. Unfortunately, after understanding all this, Gu Chunsha did not do it himself. Instead, he persuaded the demonic ape of chaos with a strategy. Using the karma of the future, the demonic ape of chaos easily took away the heavenly pillar of chaos. If the heavenly pillar of chaos fell into the hands of the demonic ape of chaos, the heavenly court would be in disaster. In the future, after the demonic ape of chaos obtained the heavenly pillar of chaos, he led the demon army to fight against the heavenly court countless times, conquering the immortal world, the divine world, and even the human world. In the end, the Emperor of Heaven took action and suppressed it. Otherwise, no one could do anything to this monkey. However, this was also a tribulation of the heavenly court. After the Emperor of Heaven suppressed it, the heavenly court could enjoy a long period of peace. In the countless years, the heavenly court was not always without disasters and tribulations. Every once in a while, there would be tribulations. As long as the tribulations subsided, the heavenly court could be peaceful for a long time again. Tribulations were also a kind of cleansing. Because the heavenly court was immortal, more and more people lived in the heavenly court. The immortal officials would also affect the balance of the order between the heaven and the earth, so it needed to be cleansed by tribulations. After the great cleansing, the order would be stabilized. This was the role of tribulations. Therefore, tribulations were a good thing for the heavenly court. Of course, the Emperor of Heaven must control the situation and not let it spread out into an uncontrollable situation. The heavenly pillar of chaos is finally in my hands. The demonic ape of chaos roared and took out the heavenly pillar of chaos from his ear. Then he shook it against the wind and turned it into a stick. He held it in his hand and waved it slightly, shaking the world. "Ha!" The demonic ape of chaos laughed arrogantly and looked around proudly. "How dare you? How dare you betray the heavenly court? You have taken control of the demon realm. This is the greatest honor that the heavenly court has bestowed upon you. They have made you the lord of a realm. The great power and honor of the demon clan are concentrated on you. How dare you betray the heavenly court? Where is your conscience?" "Nonsense." Divine ape of chaos did not hesitate. He leaped up and swung his cudgel at chaotic heavenly king. As soon as this club's might was released, mountains and rivers shattered, groups of stars fell, and worlds collapsed. It possessed the might to overturn the world. It could be said that the current demonic ape of chaos was more powerful than it would be in the future because he had cultivated the dragonless mental cultivation method. This method drove the heavenly pillar of chaos and added karma. Chaotic heavenly king was no match for it all. Gu Chunsha's dragonless mental cultivation method was the product of two eras and civilizations. Although the heavenly pillar of chaos itself was more powerful than the Hongmeng tree, the dragon gate of untainted land, and the decree of heaven sacrifice, it still did not break away from the civilization of the immortal cultivation method. Refining this treasure with the dragonless mental cultivation method could make this treasure finally surrender and completely belong to the demonic ape of chaos. Of course, Gu Chunsha was not afraid that the demonic ape of chaos would disobey him, because those who cultivated the dragonless mental cultivation method would be influenced by the truth. The dragonless mental cultivation method was the truth. Even if the demonic ape of chaos betrayed him, deep in his heart, he still recognized the dragonless mental cultivation method and would cultivate it tirelessly according to this truth. This was also the meaning of the dragonless mental cultivation method created by Gu Chunsha. Moreover, Gu Chunsha had the ability to suppress the demonic ape of chaos at any time. Boom! The demonic ape of chaos swung his cudgel and smashed it hard on the chaotic heavenly king. The chaotic heavenly king's body began to crack, and countless chaotic airflows scattered in all directions. Suddenly, a gap appeared in the formation that trapped Zhuge. Whoosh! Taking advantage of this opportunity, Zhuge flew out and then flew all over the sky, turning into a huge vortex of stars. Like a cosmic storm, dozens of celestial lords reincarnated from stars were suddenly sucked into the vortex behind him. In the blink of an eye, Zhuge had absorbed a total of 150 celestial lords from stars. His cultivation was getting stronger and stronger. With a slight tremble, the celestial lords reincarnated from stars in the sky kept avoiding his pursuit. These celestial lords did not dare to fight against him at all. It seemed that they had met some kind of nemesis, because no matter how great the power was, as long as it approached Zhuge, it would be absorbed into his vortex. And the celestial lords reincarnated from stars would lose all their power and become ordinary people. They would fall into a small courtyard among the common people, and from then on, they could only live like ordinary people. If Zhuge were to be able to absorb more than 100,000 celestial lords who were reincarnated from the stars into the whirlpool of stars behind him, then his cultivation would be truly terrifying. No one would be able to do anything to him except for the celestial emperor. Oh no! The earthly sovereign's face also changed at this time. He controlled the underworld, which was second only to the emperor of heaven. But now he felt that he could not control the situation at all. The betrayal of the demonic ape of chaos and the seizure of the heavenly pillar of chaos made him feel that if the Emperor of Heaven did not take action, this plan would completely fail. Wu Dangkong, all of your plans this time were all part of Dust Sand's plan. Dust Sand has already instigated Primordius Demon Ape and used his karma to take away the Primordius Heavenly Pillar. Now that you have lost the Primordius Heavenly Pillar, what else can you do? The dragonless mental cultivation method on Lu Baiyue's body swelled again and combined with the crystal wall of the entire four wastelands of the Divine Land. Suddenly, the power in her body was immeasurable. How could this Lu Baiyue be so strong? Long Xiangtian's face was extremely gloomy. So many of us can't do anything to her. If the heavenly pillar of chaos fell into the bottomless sea of sin, the structure of the Divine Land would be destroyed, and the Divine Land would become the Heavenly Court. Basically, the situation would be settled. Unfortunately, Gu Chunsha is a little smarter. Lu Chunsha said, he used the karma of the demonic ape of chaos to seize the heavenly pillar of chaos. In this way, Lu Baiyue can use the power of the Divine Land and the four wastelands at any time. Naturally, we can't suppress her. You should know that the Divine Land is the body of the Heavenly Court. Not only does it have infinite divine power, but the power of the four wastelands is also far beyond that of the ordinary boundless world. Not to mention that what's more amazing is that Gu Dusha refined the highest immortal essence left behind by the prehistoric technological civilization, the battleship and the system, and integrated it into China. This is equivalent to the integration of the immortal civilization and the prehistoric technological civilization. Lu Baiyue can use this power. How can we be his opponent? This is not necessarily bad for us. We can watch the battle between the Emperor of Heaven and Gu Qinsha. Now we don't need to get involved in this muddy water. Let's go. Long Xiangtian's eyes darted around. He knew that the situation was very complicated and that he wouldn't be able to get anything out of it. After a brief discussion with Lu Chunsha, he suddenly activated the power of the great sun in his body and left with Lu Chunsha. They didn't even greet the earthly sovereign or Wu Dangkong. When Peacock saw the two of them leaving, his heart palpitated in shock. Who would have thought that even this could not kill Lu Baiyue? Did I bet on the wrong thing? She followed the heavenly court and ended up like this? If I don't leave now, when will I? If I don't leave now, I'm afraid it will be too late. Peacock, you want to leave too? Without Long Xiangtian and Lu Chunsha, Lu Baiyue felt a lot less pressure. She saw through Peacock's intention and wouldn't let it go. You were the emperor's concubine, but you betrayed the court. Chunsha gave you the dragon amulet to save you, but you abandoned it in the blink of an eye and joined the heavenly court. You're a two-faced wolf cub. How can I let you go? As Lu Baiyue spoke, She formed a seal with both hands. The dragon amulet inside Peacock's body moved and brought Peacock into Lu Baiyue's palm. Peacock's body shrank and became a 3-inch woman. She stood on Lu Baiyue's palm in terror, unable to escape. Lu Baiyue, what do you want? I want to take away your origin and all your cultivation and turn you into a mortal. Lu Baiyue looked at Peacock in her palm. I gave you a chance, but you didn't want it. You came to die. I really don't know why you're so obsessed, but it's not important now. No, Peacock cried. I know how powerful the court is now. I'm willing to join them. Give me this chance, and I will do my best to worship and fight against the heavenly court. I won't have any other thoughts. You should know that even if you take away my essence, you will only be able to increase your own cultivation. If you keep me, I will be able to continuously produce a large amount of sacrificial power. It will be of great benefit to you. Now that you've taken away my cultivation, it's the same as killing a chicken that was born with a golden egg. I don't think you'll kill the goose that lays the golden egg. Peacock, why don't you understand? We don't really need the power of sacrificial energy anymore. Lu Baiyue said, when the dragonless heart art reaches the highest realm, the sacrificial offering of one's spirit force will be self-sufficient. Moreover, one's divine power is boundless, and they don't need any external power. All right, I won't waste time with you. Go and accompany Gu Tiansha, Gu Xinsha, and Fa Wuxian. Rumble. Lu Baiyue clasped his hands together, and instantly, all the energy in the peacock's body was extracted. She had obtained the mutant source and was extremely powerful. Unfortunately, she had met Lu Baiyue and had walked the wrong path. The peacock let out a blood-curdling screech and turned back into an ordinary person. Lu Baiyue threw it into the courtyard on the ground, and it no longer had a chance to turn the tables. Daughter, Li Wanlong, who was in the underworld of the King of Earth, saw that the peacock had failed and turned into an ordinary person. He immediately let out a sorrowful and indignant voice. Gu Chansha, Lu Baiyue, I, Li Wanlong, will never forgive you. Chapter 9:36. See clearly Chapter 9:33. See clearly the tables had turned. Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha had escaped. Peacock had been stripped of her cultivation and turned into an ordinary person. The heavenly court was at a disadvantage. First, the rebellion of the chaotic demonic ape had freed Zhugeya and allowed him to hunt down the reincarnated celestial lords. Then, Lu Baiyue suppressed Peacock and extracted her origin energy. She fused it into her body and increased her cultivation. After all, Peacock had obtained the mutated origin energy produced by the heavenly Tao and the heavenly talisman emperor. That was why she was qualified to be with Long Xiangtian and the others. Now that the mutated origin energy was absorbed by Lu Baiyue, there were many benefits. Sigh. Lu Baiyue let out a long sigh. There seemed to be a huge power in her body. The Dragonless Heart Sutra started to circulate, forming beams of light. Inside each beam of light, there were countless treasures, pagodas, murals, flying heavens, generals, palaces, mountains, rivers, stars, chaos. All things immortals. Gods, the Dragonless Heart Sutra could create all things in the world. It was even more powerful than the heavenly Tao. Wu Dankong, your biggest mistake was choosing the Emperor of Heaven. Just like Peacock, I will strip you of your cultivation and turn you into an ordinary person. That's right, your fiancé, Jing Fanqing, right? We captured him and turned him into an ordinary person. But in the end, he wholeheartedly submitted to us. Now, his cultivation has reached the celestial lord level. Lu Baiyue said, Jing Fanqing, come out. Yes. At this time, Jing Fanqing appeared in front of Wu Dankong. Dankong, why did you do this? Now that I submitted to the imperial court, I know how amazing the Dragonless Heart Sutra is. Practicing this mental cultivation method, I have almost completely recovered my strength. Moreover, I have advanced a step further, reaching a supreme and wondrous state that I have never comprehended before. The Dragonless mental cultivation method is really good, really mysterious. In the sky, you should give up your identity as the concubine of the Emperor of Heaven. For you, that identity is actually a kind of restraint. If you convert to the imperial court, then you can truly obtain great freedom. Jing Fanqing, you piece of trash. You can't even compare to F.A. Wuxian. F.A. Wuxian might have been crippled, but he still refuses to submit. You, on the other hand, just suffered a small setback and you're like a dog. It seems I wasn't wrong about you. You're worse than a dog. You're the innocuous heavenly king. Now, it seems to me that Jing Qiu stole your innocuous heavenly king's essence. That's the purest fate energy. Karma is the cycle. You're not the innocuous heavenly king at all. It's Jing Qiu. Wu Dangkong let out a sharp laugh. AI, Wu Dangkong, you're so stubborn that I can't save you. Can't you see the reality in front of you? That's right. The heavenly court will control the world in the future, but the future can be changed. If there isn't a better system or method to replace the heavenly court, then the heavenly court will be righteous. If there is, then the heavenly court will be unjust. The reason why the current Gu Chansha and Gu Taxian were born is because in the depths of the hearts of all living beings, the desire to be free and unfettered, the most beautiful wish, inexplicably led to some kind of variable, and thus the heavenly court is outdated. The heavenly heart isn't the heart. The people's heart is the heart, and the hearts of all living beings are the heart. Jing Fanqing sighed again. If you don't change your ancient way of thinking, you'll eventually be abandoned, unable to make a comeback. Jing Fanqing, it seems you've really been blinded by greed. You've been brainwashed by some dragonless heart sutra. It seems you're definitely going to die. Wu Dangkong was about to step forward and kill Jing Fanqing. I know, Wu Dangkong, you're still infatuated with your own power. You joined the imperial court, but you didn't get any benefits. Now that you're following Emperor of Heaven, we're doing it for your own power, to command heaven and earth. But if the skin doesn't exist, how can the hair attach itself to it? Emperor of Heaven will eventually be captured by Gu Qinsha. Jing Fanqing retreated, once again hiding in the crowd of imperial court officials. Using his dragonless heart sutra, he expanded the sacrificial ceremony. At this time, everyone in the world saw that the imperial court had the upper hand. Instantly, many people with ulterior motives changed their minds. In the blink of an eye, the destiny of the nation rose again. Creaking sounds could be heard coming from the gray space, which seemed to be some kind of prison that wanted to trap and kill everyone. Not good. Chaotic heavenly king blocked the attack of the demonic ape of chaos and shouted, "This is the power of the gray space that the imperial court has activated. They want to keep all of us here and crush us to death. I'm afraid the plan this time has failed. Long Xiangtian, Lu Chansha, that adulterous couple, I knew they weren't reliable, but I didn't expect them to run so fast." The earthly sovereign was also extremely angry in his heart. This adulterous couple hasn't thought it through. If we fail, it won't be easy for the imperial court to catch them. Although this boundless world is vast, how can they escape from the palm of Gu Qinsha? Lord Sovereign of Earth, should we leave? The great spirit god was already trembling with fear. Although he had the seed of the divine realm, he was no match for Gu Qinsha and the imperial court. If the heavenly court was defeated, he would definitely be the first to be captured by the imperial court. Just like the peacock and the others, he would lose all his abilities and become a normal person. He couldn't stand such a situation. No, let's gather together and form another formation. We can't let the imperial court's sacrifice succeed. Sovereign of Earth roared. Immediately, chaotic heavenly king and all the reincarnated celestial lords of the stars gathered together. Even Zhang Ziren gathered beside Sovereign of Earth. In an instant, they combined their powers and formed a huge shield of light to protect themselves. At the same time, they rammed into the gray space. They wanted to destroy the entire land of gods and the four wildernesses. Suppress them. Lu Baiwen moved again. All the officials of the imperial court gathered together and formed a huge text. The dragonless mantra suppressed the people of the heavenly court so that they wouldn't cause trouble in the land of gods and the four wildernesses. However, after the people of the heavenly court gathered together and formed a huge shield of light, The rebound force was so strong that even Liu Baiwei couldn't suppress them for a while. Zhang Ziren, the imperial court has given you countless blessings. You've made great contributions over the years. Why are you rebelling? Why are you afraid to break your own destiny? You're destined to be the ruler of the human world, but it's just a destiny imposed on you by the heavenly Tao. You should immediately break your destiny so that you can live freely. Liu Baiwei said, I'll give you one more chance. Return to the imperial court immediately and perform the sacrifice with the officials. I can let bygones be bygones. The sea of bitterness has no bounds. Repent and you'll be saved. Liu Baiwei, you're not bad. You've actually comprehended the Dragonless Mantra. This is a supreme art that surpasses the current civilization. Unfortunately, if the Dragonless Mantra were to spread, the human world wouldn't be the human world anymore. I've already told Wenhong that there are 7 emotions and 6 desires: birth, old age, sickness, and death, a lifetime of pain, unbearable torment, the boundless mortal world, the taste of lead. This is the human world. Without these things, the human world wouldn't be the human world anymore. I like this kind of human world, so I can't let your Dragonless Mantra spread and destroy the future human world. In Zhang Ziren's eyes, the future of the human world seemed to appear. Emperors, generals, ministers, virtuous, foolish, and unfilial, all sorts of people, ordinary people, all of them. This kind of human world had a different kind of taste. Sai, looks like you, Zhang Ziren, are stubborn. I thought you were a promising talent, but I didn't expect you to be so stubborn. Liu Baiwei sighed. It's not that I'm stubborn, it's just that you don't understand. Only in this kind of human world can true immortality be born. It's like how a lotus can only be born from mud. If there's no stinky mud, there's no way for a lotus to be born. How can you not understand this? Your current Dragonless Mantra is actually a tree without roots. It can't last long. Zhang Ziren's was unshakable. The heart of all living beings is immortal. It's immortal. It's immortal. It's able to surpass everything and escape from fate. Liu Baiwei said, what mud and lotus? It's the Tao of yin and yang. This Tao of yin and yang is a minor Tao. It's just a trick. But you didn't see through it. I don't blame you. One day, you'll understand everything. Master of the human world, don't talk to him anymore. The earthly sovereign said, let's tear apart the divine continent and the 4 wastelands first. This time, we can't let them succeed in the ceremony. Demonic ape of chaos, you'll definitely die without a burial place. Chaotic king hated demonic ape of chaos to the extreme. I'll be suppressed by the Emperor of Heaven and be doomed eternally. Besides, it's hard to say who will die without a burial place now. The chaotic demonic ape's face glowed. I've been practicing the Dragonless Mantra, and I've completely comprehended the true way of immortality and immortality. Chaotic heavenly king, in the distant future, you'll also have a tribulation. The heavenly court isn't immortal. Everyone has to go through tribulations, including the heaven sovereign. Take my tribulation, for example. How did I manage to steal the heavenly pillar of chaos so smoothly? That is because the heavenly emperor encountered a tribulation, causing the people of the heavenly court to panic and have their own plans. Otherwise, with my cultivation, it would have been impossible for me to steal the primordious heavenly pillar no matter what sort of fortuitous encounter I had. But the people of the heavenly court could only watch on helplessly as I stole it and caused a great ruckus. In truth, they wanted me to bear the endless sins and tribulations. Finally, I was beyond redemption and turned to ash. In truth, I had withstood the tribulation for the heavenly court. In this situation, if I hadn't cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra, it would have been impossible for me to perceive the secrets within. The heavenly court didn't enjoy heavenly blessings for eternity. Rather, every 129,600 years, there would be a tribulation. And after 9 more eras, there would be another great tribulation. In every original tribulation, they'll find a scapegoat. None of you can escape. Chapter 9:37. The Emperor of Heaven makes his move. Chapter 934. The Emperor of Heaven makes his move after practicing the dragonless mental method. The supreme wisdom in his heart was opened, and he immediately understood many truths and tribulations of the heavenly court in the future. The heavenly court could enjoy Wuji in the future, but it was not without a price. Every once in a while, they must go through the baptism of tribulations. The Emperor of Heaven also had his own tribulations. This was much worse than the dragonless mental method. If the dragonless mental method was cultivated to the advanced level, there would be no disasters, no tribulations, no karma, no fate, and all causes and conditions would be regarded as nothing, because he did not need any energy from the outside world at all. He was self-sufficient, and naturally there would be no karma or fate. After learning the dragonless cultivation method, primordial chaos demonic ape realized that he had missed a great opportunity. If he had learned from Guqinsha earlier, he would have reached the peak of perfection and understood the true colors. But now he also had some lingering fear and rejoice in his heart. He was afraid that if he had refused Guqinsha, he would have fallen into oblivion forever. Fortunately, he accepted Guqinsha's offer at the last moment and finally got the truth. Demonic ape of chaos, how dare you mislead the public with your evil words? When the chaotic heavenly king heard the words of the demonic ape of chaos, he looked serious. In fact, he also knew deep in his heart, but he could not say some secret things. I mislead the public with my evil words? What a big joke. The great spirit God, you will also encounter tribulations in the future. And you, Mahagod, even you, Zhang Ziren, are the seeds prepared by the heavenly court to resist the tribulations. The demonic ape of chaos said to them, "This." The great spirit God immediately hesitated, because he knew what the demonic ape of chaos said was right. The heavenly court could not let these people enjoy the position of the Lord of the divine realm, the Lord of the demon realm, the Lord of the devil realm, and the Lord of the immortal realm forever. Right now, these people were like fattened pigs waiting to be slaughtered. However, at this time, the great spirit God could not reveal his true thoughts, because he knew that betraying the heavenly court now was equivalent to courting death. The earthly sovereign and the chaotic heavenly king would be the first to not let him go. Other than that, he also knew that even if he betrayed the heavenly court, Guqinsha's Yonko would not accept him, because he was a two-faced person and no one would trust him. I won't waste any more words. Everyone, join hands and start the sacrificial ceremony. All living beings will be of one mind and break through the heavenly court and fate. All of you will obtain immortality and eternity. At this moment, Lu Baiyue suddenly spoke, her voice spreading to every corner of the Four Wilds and the Divine Prefecture. If you don't offer sacrifices, if you don't acknowledge the dragonless inner cultivation method, then you'll be one step slower and will meet a miserable end in the upcoming great calamity. No one will be able to save you. Following Lu Baiyue's words, many people who had wavered also began to chant the Dragonless Heart Sutra's incantation. Immediately, the entire Divine Prefecture and the Four Wilds began to move again. The crystal wall flashed with golden light and expanded again. Many of the broken continents of the heavenly realm were drawn into the crystal wall, first melting, then turning into space and expanding again, so that the Divine Prefecture and the Four Wilds could accommodate more living beings. Not good, Zhang Ziren shouted again. Chaotic heavenly king, the many continents of the heavenly realm are the foundation for the human realm in the future. If all the continents of the heavenly realm are absorbed by the Divine Prefecture and the Four Wilds, I'm afraid it will be difficult for the human realm to be formed. Without the human realm, the heavenly court will lose its foundation. Right now, I have no other way. The only thing I can do is for the Emperor of Heaven to take action. Perhaps he can save the situation. The chaotic heavenly king was also at his wit's end. Not to mention him, even the earthly sovereign could only bitterly hold on. Where is the Emperor of Heaven? Why hasn't he appeared yet? The Dharma saint was getting anxious. He had always wanted to be the teacher of the Emperor of Heaven, to make the laws of the myriad realms. With such a grand ambition, he was determined not to rely on the imperial court. But now, the ship that was the heavenly court was about to sink. In the face of such a situation, he had no ability to resist at all. Could it be that I, the Dharma saint, have really made the wrong choice? 10,000 years ago, I comprehended the Tao of magic. As the number one sage, I established a family in the divine prefecture, created countless magic, and was the teacher of countless emperors. Who knows how much karma I have accumulated? What virtue or ability does that Gu Qinsha have? He's just a brat. How could he possibly surpass me by so much? The Dharma saint was very unwilling to accept this. Rumble. Just as Lu Baiwei was leading the imperial court to stabilize the situation and trap the people of the heavenly court, suddenly, from the depths of the endless void, a huge hand that looked like white jade descended. The huge hand grabbed the crystal wall of the divine prefecture and the four wilds and tore it apart. Whoosh! The almost indestructible crystal wall was directly torn apart. Then, the jade white hand descended. It was perfect without the slightest flaw. It seemed to contain the highest level of immortality, the greatest power, and the strongest principles. The hand of the huge hand was none other than the Emperor of Heaven. The Emperor of Heaven had finally made his move. Lu Baiwei looked at the flawless hand and didn't seem surprised at all. Emperor of Heaven, you finally appeared. However, you can't do anything to us with just one hand. Besides, your enemy isn't me, but Qinsha. We actually caused the Emperor of Heaven to show himself. In other words, even if you hadn't shown yourself, the Emperor of Heaven wouldn't have been able to control everything from behind the scenes. Celestial Thearch, just reveal your true form. The moment the Celestial Thearch's hand came down, billions of runes appeared. These runes formed the river of civilization and immediately wrapped around the Celestial Thearch's hand. The Celestial Thearch flicked his hand and bounced the river of civilization away. However, the river of civilization returned and repaired the crystal wall, preventing the Celestial Thearch's hand from flying out. Then Gu Qinsha appeared in front of Lu Baiwei. The Emperor of Heaven's hand suddenly transformed into a human-shaped ball of light that appeared in front of the primal chaos heavenly kings, the sovereign of earth, and Zhang Ziren. Greetings, Emperor of Heaven. The primal chaos heavenly kings and the others all knelt down. Rise. The Emperor of Heaven's voice was completely emotionless, but he still didn't reveal his true appearance. He was still a ball of light. Emperor of Heaven, show yourself. You're already at a disadvantage, and yet you're still trying to act mysterious? I'm afraid that won't be a good thing. Let me tell you the truth. This incarnation of yours is no match for me. Looking at the ball of light, Gu Qinsha knew that it was the Emperor of Heaven. Gu Qinsha, you really are the heavenly court's greatest tribulation. However, your actions will lead to the destruction of heaven and earth. All living things will be reduced to ashes. The Emperor of Heaven's incarnation of light said, also, my true body is right next to you. I'm also one of the higher-ups in your court. You just haven't noticed. Is that so? Hearing the Emperor of Heaven's words, all the higher-ups in the court looked at each other. Wenhong looked at Zhuge Ye looked at Gu Huasha looked at Longevity God, and Longevity God looked at Chang Yuzhou, Martial Sage, and the others. They were all suspicious of each other. Emperor of Heaven, you're a supreme existence, but you're still using this kind of trick. Lu Baiwei said, this kind of trick can disturb the court's mind. Aren't you worse than a 3-year-old child? Baiwei, what the Emperor of Heaven said is true. Gu Qinsha waved his hand and said, what kind of status does the Sky Emperor have? His status is far above that of the Son of Heaven. One word from him can change the myriad realms and bring prosperity to the mortal world. He definitely wouldn't lie. Among our higher-ups, there is definitely one person who is his true body. Then, which one of us is the Emperor of Heaven? Zhuge Ye asked. That's not a problem. Gu Qinsha said, I let all living beings cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra to make them completely self-sufficient, free, and perfect. The Emperor of Heaven is also one of them. If we can make the Emperor of Heaven cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra, it won't be difficult to make all living beings share the same heart. If even the Emperor of Heaven can't share the same heart, then it's impossible to make all living beings share the same heart. Fourth brother, don't you think so? Gu Qinsha suddenly said to Gu Huasha. That's right. The Emperor of Heaven is also someone who can be assimilated. The fourth Gu Huasha nodded. But we still have to find out who this person is, lest the higher-ups of the court feel uneasy. If we can't share the same heart, then there's no need to mention the people below us. I already have an idea of who this person is, Gu Qinsha said, but it's not time to reveal the truth yet. Besides, I'm not completely sure I can suppress this person. If I rashly reveal the truth, it might cause chaos. Just remember, I have absolute confidence that I can suppress this person in the later games. Oh, is that so? Gu Qinsha, then I'll wait for you to suppress my true body. My true body is right next to you, and it could be any one of you. The light figure that Emperor of Heaven had transformed into said, Today's plan against you has failed, but I'll rebuild the heavenly court. I'll leave the old heavenly court and the divine continent to you. That Gu Taxian has fused with the heavenly Tao. He has enough power to create a brand new and powerful heavenly court. The war between us hasn't ended yet. In fact, it's just begun. The war between us is also a war between the future and variables, a war between order and chaos, a war between life and death. If your dragonless mental cultivation method continues like this, everyone will die. Emperor of Heaven, are you afraid? If the future continues according to your heavenly court, how boring will that be? Won't all living beings never have a chance to rise up? And even if it's your heavenly court, it's not truly immortal. In the future, there will be many tribulations for your heavenly court. Emperor of Heaven, I want to see how you're going to build a new heavenly court. Gu Qinsha looked at the light figure, as if he intended to let the people of the heavenly court go. But the light figure that Emperor of Heaven had transformed into suddenly enveloped the earthly sovereign and the others, and then disappeared. It didn't even tear through the crystal wall. It seemed to have passed through some mysterious space, and the crystal wall didn't even detect it. This move represented the means of Emperor of Heaven. In the future, he could enter the crystal wall of the divine continent and the four wilds at any time and stir up trouble. Chapter 9:38. The Emperor of Heaven led his people away from the gray space of the divine prefecture and the four wilds. This sacrificial ceremony represented a temporary victory for the imperial court. Furthermore, the divine prefecture and the four wild had expanded once again, absorbing many of the remaining continents of the heaven realm. They were at least 5 times larger than before. The number of people who could live in them had also increased, relieving a lot of pressure. At least 80 to 90% of the people were now in complete awe of the imperial court. Many of the lies that had been spread among the common people had been discredited. Many of the experts had seen that the Emperor of Heaven was unable to do anything to Gu Qinsha, and they knew that the imperial court had completely changed the future. Qinsha, we're halfway to success in this sacrificial ceremony. We've made the celestial arch reveal his traces. Lu Baiyue still had a knot in her heart. She didn't know who in the imperial court was the true Emperor of Heaven. From the looks of it, everyone was a suspect. Although the Emperor of Heaven had left, the words he had left behind were like a thorn in everyone's heart. Our top priority right now is to solve the problem of cultivation for all living beings. Gu Qinsha's Dragonless Heart Sutra focused on the cultivation of all living beings. It didn't need to absorb any external spiritual energy or energy. As long as one developed their own hearts, they could grow stronger and stronger and finally comprehend the Tao of immortality. But only a few of the higher-ups of the Celestial Commerce Department had completely comprehended this during the sacrificial ceremony. Everyone else still had to rely on energy to cultivate. Without energy, their cultivation would hit a bottleneck, and they would constantly regress. Every action of a cultivator consumed their own magic power. In the past, after their magic power was consumed, they could absorb spiritual energy, immortal energy, or even primal chaos energy to replenish it. But now that was impossible. Even a celestial couldn't replenish their magic power once it was consumed, because there was no more primal chaos. More importantly, it was extremely difficult to cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra to the point where it didn't need any external materials to survive and cultivate. Even if it was an invincible sky cultivation realm cultivator, it was basically impossible for them to comprehend this point. The chance of success was next to nothing. This caused the dragonless cultivation technique to be unable to be completely popularized. If the people of the world could not cultivate, then no matter how powerful the imperial court was, it would lose its ability to attract people, which would make those people submit to the Emperor of Heaven. Gu Qinsha could see this very clearly. "I already know who the Celestial Emperor is," the Celestial Emperor said. Gu Qinsha said, "Let's not talk about this for now, because at the most critical moment, I will use the Emperor of Heaven to do many things. The most important thing now is to solve the problem of cultivation for the people of the world. Through this sacrificial ceremony, I have already deduced that the Dragonless Heart Sutra has advanced one step further. I don't need any external energy, and I don't need other people's sacrificial ceremonies either. However, there are many people who are unable to do this, and it is difficult to popularize it. I have to refine it a step further, and this requires further comprehension. However, during this period of time, I can use the entire divine continent and the 4 wildernesses to form a world. Let's call it the everlasting world. I will use my supreme divine ability to evolve spiritual energy, immortal energy, and primal chaos energy within the everlasting world. While the people of the world cultivate, they will also worship the everlasting world. This will create a virtuous cycle. I feel that we should not evolve spiritual energy, immortal energy, and primal chaos energy anymore. Instead, we should directly evolve another kind of energy and call it the everlasting energy." At this time, Gu Huasha suggested, "Not bad. This matter can be done." Gu Qinsha nodded his head. "Right now, as the mother of the world, I am an eternal existence, immortal and undying. It is very normal for me to emit the everlasting energy and nourish the people of the world. The everlasting world is forming, and our battle with the Emperor of Heaven has just begun." Even as he spoke, a river of text appeared above Gu Qinsha's head. It once again entered the gray space of the divine prefecture and the 4 wilds, causing the gray space to expand. Inside the gray space, beams of light could be seen, which transformed into an invisible vital energy that spread out into the depths of space, nourishing every inch of it. When people breathed in and out, they could absorb something that was even more profound than spiritual energy, immortal energy, and primal chaos energy. That was the everlasting energy. Everlasting represented eternity and transcendence. After absorbing the everlasting energy, that person's cultivation base would rise. However, that person would have to offer sacrifices to the everlasting world's gray space. That was the karmic virtue. From now on, the everlasting world would take shape and would become a stable, structured world. Everlasting world. Condense. Expand. Reign supreme. Gu Qinsha sent out these 4 words. Instantly, in the boundless, chaotic flows of space-time, a world that was even more dazzling than the heavenly realms was born. This was the everlasting world. Rumble. The moment everlasting world was born, the entire broken heavenly realm suddenly exploded. Countless fragments of the continent scattered in all directions. Finally, they were all absorbed by an invisible vortex of the heavenly way. In that vortex, a huge world seemed to be gradually born. That enormous world was extremely mysterious. It was as if the mortal world had been born. It was a boundless world of mortals, and it was filled with the taste of bitterness. The mortal world has taken shape. This is the foundation of the heavenly court led by Emperor, Heaven Emperor. The mortal world is much larger than the previous endless world, which is the heavenly realms. Because the mortal world has fused with the fragments of the heavenly realms and the ancient primal chaos, the current mortal world can be considered truly endless. When Gu Chencha's everlasting world took shape, he saw that in the depths of the space-time turbulence, the enormous mortal world was taking shape. Then, in the nodes of the mortal world, the immortal world, the devil world, the divine world, and the underworld formed. Originally, in the future, a complete system would be based on the mortal world. The heavenly court would be high above, overseeing the mortal world. The immortal world, the devil world, the divine world, and the demon world would be the four ascending channels of the mortal world. The underworld would be the place of reincarnation. Now that the heavenly court had been taken away by Gu Chensha, it became the foundation of the everlasting world. And the demon ape god of chaos had taken the demon world and the primordial sky pillar to Gu Chensha. In this way, the heavenly court system had lost the demon world. Although the Emperor Heaven told Gu Chensha that he could rebuild the heavenly court to accomplish such a huge thing, even with the power of the Emperor Heaven, it was definitely not something that could be done in a day. However, as long as the mortal world took shape, with the help of the huge power of worship in the mortal world, it would not be a difficult thing to rebuild the heavenly court. Gu Chensha found one thing. That is, the current Emperor Heaven was much stronger than the future Emperor Heaven. Another world was born? Gu Chensha suddenly found that in the depths of a space-time turbulence, a world of light was born. This light was direct, and there was the faint aura of Long Xiangtian, Lu Chansha, and the others. In other words, Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha had also built a world in an attempt to gather all living beings and win the future. Originally, the future belonged to the heavenly court and the Emperor Heaven, but now the Emperor Heaven and Gu Chensha were at a disadvantage in the battle. The direction of the future was confusing, and no one knew who it belonged to. Long Xiangtian was still dreaming of being the main character. He wanted to rise in the end, destroy the Emperor Heaven and Gu Chensha, unify the future, control fate, and finally become the only one. Moreover, he also knew that in the future, there would be all kinds of experts, people not inferior to Gu Chensha and the Emperor Heaven, or even people surpassing them, because the battle between Gu Taxian and the Heavenly Tao was completely out of control. Long Xiangtian also wants to build a world. This kid is really obsessed. I think the Emperor Heaven will deal with him soon. After all, the two of them absorb the sun and moon of the heavenly realm, which will be the sun and moon of the mortal world in the future. After the Emperor Heaven captures them and refines them, the mortal world will become even more powerful. Gu Chensha looked at the endless changes in space-time, especially the expansion of the mortal world, and couldn't help but sigh. Lu Baiwei also followed Gu Chencha's gaze and looked at the mortal world. As the mortal world continued to expand, the boundless primordial chaos evolved into space, land, and after the land was born, many humans, demons, animals, and plants were born, forming the foundation of the mortal world. Many living beings in the heavenly realm were also taken into the mortal world, causing the mortal world to immediately expand, becoming the first great world. The mortal world is boundlessly mysterious. That Zhang Xiren's fate is also extremely huge. Wen Hong said, "This person presides over the mortal world. He will definitely be able to provide a huge amount of sacrificial power to the heavenly court's Emperor Heaven. Our struggle in the future will be extremely long. That's for sure." Gu Chensha said, "I think there will be many experts from our eternal world who will directly go to the human world. However, we won't stop this kind of thing. Moreover, we can even quietly sneak into the human world and spread our Dragonless Heart Sutra so that the human world will eventually become part of our eternal world. As long as everyone approves of the Dragonless Heart Sutra and our ideals, we will basically succeed." Bang! Just as Gu Chencha's voice fell, in the depths of the unseen world, a huge power exploded. Amidst the explosion, a huge ball of light fell into the depths of the human world like a comet and immediately disappeared. Even Gu Chensha couldn't clearly see how this comet-like huge ball of light disappeared. "What is that?" One Hong, Lu Baiwei, and the others said in surprise. This light is a huge, mutated source formed from the entanglement of the Emperor and the heavenly Tao. Gu Qinsha said, this source is huge, almost equivalent to more than 100 long Xiang Tian. It must have been affected by the aura of the mortal world. I don't know which person in the mortal world will obtain this mutated source. If they do, I'm afraid they will be extremely difficult to deal with. Even I and the Emperor Heaven won't be able to suppress them. Something like this actually happened. Lu Baiwei said, then we must secretly enter the mortal world and find this mutated source. Chapter 939. The pattern has been established. Chapter 936. The pattern has been established. Chapter 936. The pattern has been established. Gu Qinsha built the everlasting world, combining the divine continent, the four wastelands, and many other large spaces in the heaven realm, which could accommodate countless creatures. In the everlasting world, he used his divine power and cultivation to produce the everlasting Qi, which was more mysterious than spiritual energy, immortal energy, and chaotic energy. However, this everlasting Qi was just a transition. In the future, he would definitely let everyone learn the Dragonless Heart Sutra and break through the first hurdle, so that they could live freely without absorbing any energy, completely free from karma, fate, time, and space, and truly free and eternal. Without karma and fate, naturally, there would be no birth, old age, sickness, and death, and no disillusionment and samsara. However, this current realm, only a few high-level members of the Dragonless Cabinet could reach this realm. And when the Emperor of Heaven built the human realm, it attracted the arrival of a huge, mutated origin. The human realm represented humans, the spirit of all living things. In this period, after the human realm condensed into a form, it represented the most critical core of the future. In other words, the current human realm was the center of the whole world, just like the former heaven realm. Gu Qinsha's everlasting world was not the center, because the everlasting world represented the highest level of evolution. If in the future, everyone could understand the Dragonless Heart Sutra and get rid of karma, then the everlasting world would be the real center. But now, the human realm still occupied the dominant position. After the great sacrifice, the everlasting world condensed, and the Emperor of Heaven retreated. The pattern of the entire infinite space was thus formed. The human realm, which was much larger than the original heaven realm, stood in the turbulence of space and time, and the energy in the turbulence was constantly pouring into the human realm. Why was the human realm so much larger than the heaven realm? That was because the chaos was integrated into it. The chaos was the most primitive thing. All the worlds were born from the primordial chaos. Various divine objects could be extracted from the primordial chaos. Even the heavenly realm was born from the primordial chaos. When Gu Qinsha entered the primordial chaos to search for the battleships and systems left behind by the prehistoric technological civilization, he saw the primordial chaos constantly exploding, giving birth to small kiliocosms, medium kiliocosms, and great kiliocosms. Compared to the chaos, a large world was like a bubble compared to a river or an ocean. Now that the entire chaos world had been integrated into the human world, just how huge was the human world? Another amazing thing was that the Emperor of Heaven had absorbed a lot of the original source produced by the entanglement and mutation of Gu Taxian and the heavenly Tao, which made the human realm much larger and richer than the future human realm. Gu Qinsha watched as the human realm condensed into a form. The origin that was 100 times larger than Long Xiang Tian fell into the human realm, but he didn't immediately search for this origin. Instead, he first governed the eternal realm, calmed the hearts of the people, and stabilized the sacrifices. Just like that, 3 whole months passed. During these 3 months, the human realm had already taken shape. The enormous power of the human realm spread in all directions, greatly affecting many cultivators. The power of the mortal world was an extremely tempting and intoxicating force. Countless times in the future, there would be immortal officials in the heavenly court who would rather give up on immortality, unable to endure the loneliness of the heavenly court, and secretly descend to the mortal world. Even a few daughters of the Emperor of Heaven descended to the mortal world and secretly married mortals. Thus, there were many legends and tribulations. Of course, this was a story for the future. However, in Gu Chencha's view, the structure of the heavenly court, the human realm, the demon realm, the divine realm, the demon realm, the immortal realm, and the underworld was too restrictive. Even if one obtained the Tao of immortality, he still had to stay in the heavenly court. Once he descended to the mortal world for a long time, he would be invaded by the power of the human realm, and the Tao of immortality would also disappear. In this way, what was the difference between being trapped in the heavenly court and being imprisoned for immortality? Chensha, I just calculated it. According to the fixed destiny, in the future, the heavenly court will control the situation with the human realm as the foundation. In addition to the demon realm, the divine realm, the demon realm, and the immortal realm, there will also be a powerful figure who will establish the Buddha realm and break the structure. Later on, there will even be a trend of challenging the position of the heavenly court. That Buddha realm also claimed to have obtained immortality. Do you think that such a figure will appear in advance? Liu Baiyue and Gu Chensha were also observing the human realm for the past 3 months. At the same time, in the eternal world, many people secretly went to the human realm, and those who went to the human realm were all experts. Because, although the eternal world had calmed down, there were still many rumors circulating. There were even people saying that in the human realm, there was a mutated essence left behind by the heavenly talisman Great Sovereign and the heavenly Tao. If anyone could obtain the mutated essence, they would be able to ascend to the heavens in a single bound and become an existence that could contend against the Emperor Heaven. Under the drive of ambition and benefits, these people would naturally go with the flow. Another reason was that the Dragonless Heart Sutra was too difficult to cultivate. Many people couldn't comprehend the key points of it, no matter how hard they tried. In the end, they became disheartened and went to the human realm to search for opportunities. Regarding these, Gu Chensha didn't stop them. He knew that the spread of the Dragonless Heart Sutra was an extremely long process. He would be resisted by the future, and even he himself would face a huge tribulation. Those who cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra would also face a huge tribulation. This was the pain and torture that must be experienced in order to overturn the future. Although many people in the eternal world went to the human realm, there are still some who are diligently cultivating. These people are the foundation of our Yonko-esque future. Gu Chensha said, as for the Buddha realm, such experts will definitely appear in the human realm. Moreover, there will be more and more of them. However, these are not important. That chaotic, demonic, ape god is already completely converted to us. In the future, he will have some karma with the Buddha realm. This matter will finally come to an end for him. I still have a question. Is the matter of the true body of the Emperor of Heaven? Liu Baiyue said, now it seems that the true body of the Emperor of Heaven is the closest person to us. Since you know about this person, then tell me. I can take some precautions. Otherwise, if this person suddenly makes a move, I am afraid that I will be killed. Although my current cultivation is completely complete, if the Emperor of Heaven makes a sneak attack on me, it will still be difficult for me to continue. I have already prepared for this matter. Gu Chensha suddenly flicked his finger. A ray of light containing endless information entered the depths of Liu Baiyue's mind. Liu Baiyue absorbed this information. His face showed a look of disbelief and disbelief. What? He is the true body of the Emperor of Heaven? How is this possible? This matter shouldn't be able to happen. Anything can happen. There are no exceptions. Gu Chensha was very indifferent. However, this matter can only be known by you. If others know, it will inevitably alert the enemy. Right now, he is stealing the fate of the eternal world. In fact, he is even secretly analyzing and comprehending my dragonless mantra in an attempt to break free from the shackles of the heavenly court. The Emperor of Heaven is also not someone who is willing to fall behind. If he comprehended the dragonless mantra and started cultivating, will he eventually walk the same path as us? Lu Baiwei asked. Impossible. After all, he is the Emperor of Heaven. The core of his essence is the incarnation of the heavenly Tao. He cannot go against his own essence. The essence of the heavenly Tao is order. Gu Qinsha said, although the true body of the heavenly Tao has collapsed, that imprint still exists in his body. Of course, if I can completely change his mind and remove the imprint, it will be possible. But at that time, he will no longer be the Emperor of Heaven. I know what to do now, Lu Baiwei said. The true body of the Emperor of Heaven is hidden beside us. Actually, this is also very beneficial. We can borrow his power to perfect the entire eternal world. Since we already know his true body, he is actually in the light while we are in the dark. You can say that. However, we still have to be careful about this matter. We absolutely cannot expose him. If we do, not only will there be a disaster, but the current Emperor of Heaven is already not the future Emperor of Heaven. His cultivation base is higher than the future one. If we beat the grass and startle the snake, there will be a huge problem. Gu Qinsha said, so you have to silently observe. I will definitely handle this matter properly. Dealing with the Emperor of Heaven is also a kind of training. It will allow my dragonless mantra to finally break free and let all living beings break free. I will go to the human world now. You will stabilize the eternal world. Stay there and use your Yuan Shun to completely fuse with the eternal world. Gu Qinsha said, the current eternal world is a gathering of the four wilds, the divine continent, and the warships and systems left behind by the prehistoric civilization. I will use my strongest power, the dragonless mantra, the hearts of all living beings, and the sacrifice of the immortal to form the eternal world. It is already a true undying treasure. If your Yuan Shun can completely fuse with the eternal world, then you'll be able to pass the great calamity in the future. I still have a calamity? Lu Baiwei asked doubtfully. This time, Long Xiangtian Lu Chansha, King of Earth, Peacock, and the others worked together to kill me. It was very dangerous. It was one of my calamities. But I still easily passed it. So I feel that this calamity is a bit too easy. I keep feeling that there's still some things that haven't been eliminated. So that's why? That's right. This is just a small calamity. The real calamity will be when the Emperor of Heaven suddenly attacks you. At that time, you will encounter the real calamity. At that time, even I won't be able to save you. Only you will be able to resist it. Because you have fused with the Queen of Heaven's origin, there must be some karma between you and the Emperor of Heaven. When the Emperor of Heaven attacks you, it is equivalent to breaking this karma. At that time, you will truly be free and free. Gu Qinsha seemed to have seen through all the changes. If I refine the eternal world, what will you do? Lu Baiwei hurriedly asked. I don't need the eternal world anymore. Gu Qinsha smiled. I have reached another realm. It is a realm that even the Emperor of Heaven cannot understand. But the Emperor of Heaven is also improving. I can't kill him for now. Chapter 940. The Human Realm Chapter 937. The Human Realm Chapter 937. The Human Realm. Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwei decided on something important. The entire eternal world was in a peaceful state, at least on the surface. Everyone could cultivate, and the previous panic was gone. At this time, the human realm expanded rapidly. After merging with the primal chaos, it became a world even bigger than the heaven realm. It contained many mysteries. Not to mention, a lot of the mutated source fell into the human realm, not the eternal world. When the human realm had just been established, a mutated origin source that was 100 times larger than Long Xiangtian had descended into the human realm. In the following 3 months, there would occasionally be some small mutated origin source descending into the human realm. From this, it could be seen that in the near future, there would be many formidable figures appearing in the human realm. Gu Qinsha decided to go to the human realm. There were many things that could be learned in the human realm. Gu Qinsha also wanted to spread his dragonless heart sutra and occupy the hearts of the people. He believed that people believed in the truth. In order to pursue the highest realm, he must study the secrets of the Dragonless Heart Sutra. In fact, he also knew that the Emperor of Heaven was also secretly studying it. Gu Qinsha could cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra to the point where he could grow without relying on any karma, fate, and sacrificial power. However, the people couldn't. Therefore, this was his own immortality, not the immortality of the people. He still had to work hard to calculate the Dragonless Heart Sutra to the point where any living being could cultivate it freely and have a strong mind. I want to see how the human realm is managed. Can the Emperor of Heaven extract the immortality from it and recreate the heavenly court? Can it be more powerful than the original heavenly court? If the Emperor of Heaven obtains the source that is 100 times bigger than the dragon flying sky and uses it as the foundation of the heavenly court, it is possible to create a new heavenly court that is even more powerful than the old divine continent. Whoosh! Just like that, Gu Qinsha silently descended into the human realm. Outside the human realm, there was also a crystal wall. However, this crystal wall was full of the smell of the mortal world. Even if a heavenly lord passed through this crystal wall and came to the human realm, he would immediately be infected by the power of the human realm. Karma would entangle him, and he would not be able to escape. This was unique to the human realm. In the future, it was impossible to live in the mortal world for a long time. If powerful existences like gods, immortals, devils, and saints stayed in the mortal world for a long time, they would be contaminated by the mortal world's aura. In the end, they would fall and lose their divine abilities and cultivation realm. In the end, they would not be able to escape the pain of reincarnation. However, there were some powerful existences who could comprehend the mortal world's phenomena and hide in the mortal world. They would not be infected by the mortal world's power and would instead borrow it to cultivate. Such a supergiant was trying to avoid the heavenly court surveillance. In the future, the heavenly court would not allow powerful existences to appear. Therefore, once the heavenly court discovered an existence of the divine primordial realm, it would record them and then immediately capture them. It would either recruit them, imprison them, kill them, or refine them into magic treasures to strengthen the heavenly court. Even heavenly longevity realm experts would find it hard to escape their supervision. This was because a heavenly longevity realm expert had the same lifespan as the heavens and earth. The heavenly court would absolutely not allow an expert with the same lifespan as the heavens to appear. This kind of expert was equivalent to not being under the heavenly court's reincarnation control, so they naturally had to be suppressed. Reincarnation was an important tool for the heavenly court to control countless experts. Experts who didn't listen would be directly thrown into reincarnation, stripped of their cultivation, and reincarnated as humans, demons, beasts, devils, and so on. And the obedient experts would directly enter the heavenly court and enjoy immortality. This is the mortal realm? The mortal realm that has fused with the primal chaos, the spiritual realm, and a large number of the heaven realm's fragments is indeed boundless. It far surpasses the previous heaven realm's land of infinity. Gu Qinsha passed through the mortal realm's crystal wall and arrived in the mortal realm. He saw mountains and rivers, magnificent mountains and rivers, rich landforms, and countless cities. There were also all kinds of humans, demons, and even some gods and devils mixed in. This mortal realm completely inherited the foundation of the heaven realm's land of infinity. And it was even a step further. The spiritual energy was very dense, and it was supported by the primal chaos energy, making it extremely easy for living beings to cultivate in the mortal realm. The mortal realm is huge, and it is divided into many countries. However, there is always a celestial kingdom, just like how the heaven realm occupied the countries of the divine continent. Gu Qinsha's will instantly enveloped the entire mortal realm. The mortal realm was much bigger and more complicated than the heaven realm, but now Guchensh's realm had surpassed the heaven realm, and he could directly challenge the heavenly Tao. Since the success of the sacrificial ceremony and the expulsion of the Emperor of Heaven, the Yankoe situation was stabilized, and Guchensh's strength had improved a step further. Purely in terms of realm, he was already close to the heavenly Tao. Cultivation started from the beginning as an ordinary person, the mortal realm's first glimpse at the transcendent transformation and the peak. Then, after stepping into the Tao realm, the 36 transformations, eating qi, fasting, 9 bulls and 2 tigers, copper skin and iron bones, specks of chaos, and embodiment transformation. After that, it was the celestial lord realm, which was beyond the 3 realms and not in the 5 elements. After that, it was celestial longevity, celestial essence, heaven realm, and heavenly Tao. Now, with the explosion of fortuitous encounters, many experts had already stepped into the celestial essence realm, and some even had a few yuan, dozens, and hundreds of yuan of cultivation. However, there was almost no one who had reached the heaven realm. Even people like Long Xiangtian only had a few hundred yuan of cultivation. Compared to the heaven realm, there was still a big difference. On the other hand, Lu Baiwei had begun to combine her primordial spirit with the eternal world. Once she succeeded, her realm would also reach the heaven realm. And Guchensh's current realm had already surpassed the heaven realm and was approaching the heavenly Tao. It could be said that if the Emperor of Heaven had not improved, according to the original trajectory, with that kind of cultivation in the future, he could now completely suppress the Emperor of Heaven. Unfortunately, the Emperor of Heaven was also improving, his strength had increased to a frightening degree, and he was also good at learning. In the near future, even the Emperor of Heaven would learn the Dragonless Heart Sutra, and using it to attack Guchansha would not be strange. Of course, if the current Guchansha fought with the Emperor of Heaven, he could completely gain the upper hand, but he would not be able to easily eliminate this person. In a certain theory, even if the Emperor of Heaven was included, Guchansha would still be the strongest. No one could go neck and neck with him. The Emperor of Heaven could only be ranked second. In an instant, Guchensh's thoughts filled the entire human realm, and in an instant, everything in the human realm converged into his mind. In the midst of calculation, all the information was summarized in a flash, and finally, useful information came out. In the center of the human realm, there is a dynasty known as the Heaven Dynasty list. The current name of the dynasty is Hong, which is also the Hong Dynasty. The emperor of the Hong Dynasty is Zhang Ziren, who became the Son of Heaven and has the heavenly sacrifice talisman. Gu Chansha turned into an ordinary person and fell into the center of the human realm in an extremely flourishing city. This city had a circumference of 10,000 miles, and houses stood tall, somewhat like the new city built by the Imperial Court's Celestial Designer Department. In this city, there were countless people living, and it was bustling with activity. There were even some cultivators who restrained their magic power and aura, and secretly explored according to the way of life of ordinary people. Oh, these are a few Celestial Master Realm cultivators. Turns out they were in my Yonko eternal world, and in the past 3 months, they secretly ran to the human realm. Let me see what these people want to do. Gu Chensha saw 3 or 4 people, who were actually Celestial Masters, enter a house. Gu Chensha followed. This house was very deep, and it seemed to be a large manor. There were many servants inside, but they were all well-behaved, as if they were being controlled. These 3 or 4 Celestial Masters entered the secret room in the center of the manor, sat down cross-legged, and began to communicate with Divine Will. Brother Zhang, we left the eternal world and entered the human realm for several months, and we could be considered to be operating in the dark, and we still haven't been able to find the mutated source. A middle-aged man said, "Did you find any clues?" Right now, the Lord of the human realm, the Emperor of the Hong Dynasty, Zhang Ziren, is also looking for the existence of the mutated source. The Celestial Master, surnamed Zhang, said, "Speaking of which, my surname is also Zhang, but I am not related to that Zhang Ziren. Once we find the mutated source, after we devour it, we can immediately become an existence almost comparable to the Emperor of Heaven. This is much better than us painstakingly studying the Dragonless Heart Sutra in the eternal world. We really can't comprehend the Dragonless Heart Sutra, we can't grasp that realm, and we don't know if it is true or false. I suspect that the Dragonless Heart Sutra is mostly a lie. It is only possible in theory, but in reality, it is impossible to reach a realm that doesn't need any external things. Another heavenly venerate said, "Let's just look for the mutated origin source honestly. Not to mention the big one. Even if we get a small one, we can immediately advance to the heavenly primordial stage and even have the power of many primordial stages. Don't look at how we are now in the heavenly venerate stage. In the past, we could be high and mighty, but now we are nothing. Any heavenly primordial stage expert can kill us all with one finger. Look at the stars in the sky." Guchen Sha had long noticed that the sky above the human realm was filled with bright stars, and there was also a blazing sun and a bright moon. However, the blazing sun and bright moon were not the original version of the heaven realm, but a recreation by the Emperor of Heaven. In the eyes of Guchen Sha, everywhere in the human realm was sacrificed to the heaven. No matter what kind of living creature it was, it gave birth to a kind of instinct to sacrifice to the heaven. Therefore, the huge power of the sacrifice gathered from all directions above the sky, in a hidden point in space, and in the depths of that point, a huge existence was slowly born. That was the new heavenly court. The Emperor of Heaven was using the sacrifice of the human realm to extract the immortal substance from it to forge the new heavenly court. Chapter 941. Everyone is searching. Chapter 938. Searching, 150 stars were devoured by Zhuge, and his strength has already reached the realm of over 100 yuan. But now, it seems that the stars in the sky have condensed again. All 129,600 stars are in their respective positions in the sky of the human realm. It makes sense. The Emperor of Heaven can even reforge the heavenly court, so creating stars should be a piece of cake for him. The human world is so big, and there are so many living beings. As long as a small part of them worship the Emperor of Heaven, he can extract a lot of immortal essence from them. Guchen Sha looked at the sun, moon, stars, and the new heavenly court. He could immediately see what the Emperor of Heaven was thinking. It was obvious that the Emperor of Heaven hasn't obtained the origin that was 100 times stronger than Long Xiang Tian. If he did, the new heavenly court would have already formed. Long Xiang Tian was extremely powerful. He had obtained the mutated origin of the heavenly talisman monarch and the heavenly Tao. After that, he devoured the mutated origin of Gu Tiansha, the origin of the Sun-Moon Lord, and the Son of the Heaven Realm. The Son of the Heaven Realm had the power of hundreds or even thousands of worlds. It was just that Long Xiang Tian couldn't use it. But as Long Xiang Tian cultivated, he built a world called the Soaring Dragon Celestial World. He collected the faith of all living beings and refined the immortal essence. But he had the least advantage. He couldn't create a great civilization like the Dragonless Heart Sutra. The Dragonless Heart Sutra was no longer classified as a martial art, nor was it classified as a Taoist technique, nor was it a cultivation technique. It was a kind of civilization, a civilization that surpassed the civilization of science and technology and the civilization of the immortal Tao to a higher level. Even so, if Long Xiang Tian were to unleash his full strength, it would be at least 1,000 yuan or even a few thousand yuan. However, the variant origin that fell from the sky was at least 100 times stronger than Long Xiang Tian. From this, it could be seen how powerful the variant origin was. Whoever could obtain it would give Guchen Sha and the Emperor of Heaven a headache. If Guchen Sha could obtain it, he would be able to expand the everlasting world once again, pushing his cultivation to the extreme, breaking through a limit and reaching another level. At that time, the Celestial Emperor would fall into an absolute disadvantage. And if the Emperor of Heaven obtained it, he could suppress Guchen Sha and put Guchen Sha in an absolute disadvantage. Everyone wanted to get their hands on this mutated origin, Gu Qinshan knew that many of Heaven's sovereign subordinates also wanted to get their hands on it. However, since the day the human realm was formed, the mutated origin had fallen into the human realm and completely disappeared without a trace. Even now, with Gu Qinshan's cultivation of crossing the heaven realm and observing the human realm, he still could not find the slightest trace of the mutated origin. If Gu Qinshan couldn't find it, then the Emperor of Heaven naturally couldn't find it. However, it was clear that the variant origin also contained the will of the ancient immortal treading and the heavenly Tao. When the two were combined, it had the power to hide everything. If it wanted to hide, it would naturally be impossible for anyone to find it. Although Gu Qinshan's power was strong and his realm was incomparably profound, he still couldn't completely surpass the heavenly way and Gu Taxian. Fortunately, after entering the human world, he could rely on the increasingly profound Dragonless Heart Sutra to catch some clues about the origin. In the eternal realm, more and more people cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra. Their comprehensions and experiences gathered together was also a huge fortune. It allowed Gu Qinshan to gather the wisdom of all living beings, allowing him to deduce the Dragonless Heart Sutra to an endless state. With every breath, Gu Qinshan's power was improving. Who was the one who obtained the mutated origin? According to my calculations, this origin should have been obtained by someone or hidden in some secret place. No one would have thought of it. Gu Qinshan's heart was spinning anxiously. Although I don't lack this part of the origin, I can't let the Emperor of Heaven get it. Such a big origin can't descend many times in the future. As Gu Qinshan calculated, he entered the deepest level of observation. In the depths of his will, he saw between the heaven and earth, the place where the heavenly way and Gu Taxian were entangled. It was an indescribable place. In the entanglement between the heavenly way and Gu Taxian, the two gradually fused together, turning into a huge and wriggling supreme matter. This matter was the origin of the variation. And the origin of the variation was constantly descending, divided into many small balls. There were even bigger splits forming, about to separate from the main body and descend. Gu Qinshan seemed to see the largest ball, which contained the highest essence of Gu Taxian and the heavenly way. It was almost 10,000 times, maybe even 100 million times, the origin of the dragon soars the sky was also descending. If this origin of the variation was obtained by someone, they would be able to obtain 90% of the cultivation of Gu Taxian and the heavenly way. However, there was no living creature in the world that could withstand this origin of the variation. In the near future, Gu Taxian and the heavenly way would completely collapse, and this origin of the variation would scatter in the human world. At that time, the person who obtained this origin of the variation would be considered a true fortuitous encounter. Apart from the dragon soars the sky, which was 100 times the size of the variation, there are many smaller origin of the variation that fell into the human world. Some of them should have appeared. Gu Qinshan's divine will swept through the entire capital, silently penetrating it, and once again found many clues. The current dynasty in the center of the human world was called Hong, and the first emperor was Zhang Ziran. Outside of the Hong dynasty, there were Ming, and Zheng, Xian, Yuan, and many other dynasties. Because the human world was too big, even with Zhang Ziran's strength, it was impossible to unify and control everything. As a result, in many places in the human world, there were naturally some ambitious people who took the opportunity to establish dynasties and countries. For example, some saints, heavenly venerables, and even heavenly longevity realm experts who were originally unable to display their strength in the Yonko. The reason why they left the Yonko, besides feeling that the Dragonless Sutra was difficult to cultivate, was because they felt that they could not obtain the power of worship. Therefore, these saints, heavenly venerables, and heavenly longevity realm experts all came to the human world, spreading the creatures in their original world, establishing countries, and even sects and beliefs. In the blink of an eye, the human world became incomparably complicated. Many of the dynasties in the human world came to be in this way. The 4 or 5 heavenly venerables that Gu Chunsha observed were also in the same situation. They established their own dynasties and, at the same time, came here to find the variation origin. After observing for a while, Gu Chunsha did not find anything new, so his body moved, and he landed in the palace at the center of the Hong dynasty. He wanted to see what Zhang Ziren wanted to do. In addition to being the emperor of the Hong dynasty, Zhang Ziren had an even more important identity, which was the master of the human world. Now that the human world had condensed into a physical form, the power of the human world was getting stronger and stronger, and Zhang Ziren's power was getting stronger and stronger. Whoosh! Gu Chunsha had already locked on Zhang Ziren's aura. In a study, Zhang Ziren was discussing with a few people. Those people were impressively Dharma's saint, Jing Xiu, Gu Tanjian, Gu Changjian, and the others. At this moment, Zhang Ziren looked like a teenager, but his aura was deep and indiscernible, like he had entered some sort of eternal realm. Dharma's saint, now that the human world is complete, there are many spaces and continents. It is even bigger than the heaven realm. In the past, the heaven realm compared to the human world was like a sesame seed compared to a watermelon. Such a huge human world is now filled with many powerful people, and many experts have set up countries. In truth, there is no order at all. At this time, Dharma Saint, it is time for you to make new laws and establish order. Zhang Ziren said, Master of the human world. The Warlock Saint said, Originally, the order in the human world was settled. Those who are above the 20th transformation of the Tao realm have mastered the gathering and dispersing impermanence. Their bodies will turn into magic power, and they will have to enter the celestial world. There, they will have to accept the rules of the celestial world. But now, there are experts everywhere in the human world, not to mention those above the 20th transformation of the Tao realm. There are even sages, celestial venerables, Tianshou, and even Tianyuan. So this matter needs to be settled early. Otherwise, there will be endless problems. Then what do we do according to Dharma Saint's plan? Jing Qiu said, I think the master of the human world needs to gather the power of the human world as soon as possible, so that all the experts can't stay. Because if the power of the human world is thick, one breath will cause one's body to be tainted with the 5 skandhas of the human world, karma, fate, and finally fall. Then those experts won't be able to stay. Dharma Saint said, but I also need to make a series of laws to help the Heaven Court manage it. Now that the Heaven Court wants to establish the Heaven Court, it needs large amounts of sacrifices to extract the undying substance. So, the rules of the human world must be established. Otherwise, the living beings in the human world will worship others and not the Emperor of Heaven, which will cause chaos. You're right, but the God world, immortal world, and underworld all need to help establish the human world. Zhang Ziren said, but in order to completely stabilize the human world, we need to establish the Heaven Court. The most important thing now, I think, is to obtain the largest mutated source and offer it to the Emperor of Heaven. We've been looking for it for a long time, but we still haven't found it. Jing Qiu said, but deep in his heart, he had other thoughts. If I can find it, my strength will immediately be able to fight against the Emperor of Heaven. In the future, I don't need to look at the Emperor of Heaven's face. I can already see that the Emperor of Heaven can't control the situation. There are dragons and snakes everywhere. Although I'm the innocuous heavenly king, I still need to look at the Emperor of Heaven's face. This is not what I want. Long Xiangtian also entered the human world. He also wants to find the mutated source. If he obtains it, I'm afraid that he will become as difficult to deal with as Gu Chunsha. Gu Tanjian said, this person is extremely arrogant. I'm afraid that he will be disadvantageous to us. We can't let him find the mutated source. I will personally kill Long Xiangtian, Zhang Ziren said. He dares to escape. His crime is unforgivable. Chapter 942. Theft. Chapter 939. Theft. Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha are definitely up to no good. They even dare to build a soaring dragon realm to plunder experts, build faith, and refine immortal substances to strengthen their realm. Over time, they'll be able to make a name for themselves. Gu Tanjian said, but they have a fatal flaw. They don't have any vital energy to cultivate in the soaring dragon realm. The warlock saint said, in the human world, there is chaotic energy and spiritual energy. When we gather together, we can cultivate in a cycle forever. As for the eternal world that Gu Qinsha built, he has comprehended the dragonless cultivation technique and can use his own spirit to emit endless eternal energy for all living beings to cultivate. At the same time, when all living beings cultivate, some people will offer sacrifices to Gu Qinsha in return. In this way, it formed a perfect cycle. From a certain point of view, Gu Qinsha was a much bigger threat than Long Xiangtian. Right now, Long Xiangtian is just plundering. He doesn't have any ability to regenerate. He will first kidnap a group of experts and lock them up in the soaring dragon celestial world, forcing them to worship and not giving them any chance to cultivate. In the end, he squeezes them dry and then captures another group. He's even more demonic than a demon. Long Xiangtian's strength is getting stronger and stronger. I have a feeling that he has secretly come to the human world to look for that huge variant origin. He also wants to get it. Moreover, he also wants to take the smaller variant origin for himself. Zhang Ziren said, Dharma Saint, there are two things we need to do. First, make all the experts submit to the heavenly court. If they don't, we'll strip them of their cultivation and send them into the cycle of reincarnation. Second, I'll personally capture Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha. I have a feeling that Lu Chansha is different. Maybe she's not on the same side as Long Xiangtian. She's just using him. I also feel that she's not simple. Jing Qiu said, she's always listening to Long Xiangtian, but I feel that he's very ambitious. Moreover, she named herself Lu Chansha. You should know that the word Sha is very thought-provoking. The son of Gu Taxian has the word Sha in the end, just like Gu Chansha, Gu Hongsha, Gu Hongsha, Gu Yinsha, and Gu Fasha. You're right. After reaching our level of cultivation, all of our names contain an enormous amount of karma. It is definitely not something that can be easily obtained. Zhang Ziren said, but no matter how strong Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha are, once they enter the mortal world, I'll have enough power to kill them. In the human realm, the constellations have already returned to their positions and are monitoring the heavens. The great constellation formation has already been arranged. As long as there is any movement, the power of the 129,600 constellations will gather and send out a heavenly tribulation. That is not something that Long Xiangtian can compare to, not to mention the power of the entire mortal world. Dharma Saint said, the great spirit god, you and Jiangchuan will manage the divine world and the immortal world. Cooperate with the ruler of the mortal world. Gather a large number of people who have cultivated mana and send them to the immortal world. We can't let them stay in the mortal world. Otherwise, their every move will have the power to tear rivers and move mountains. It'll affect the living beings too much. Keeping them in a mortal world will be detrimental to the development of the mortal world. Of course, the great spirit god said, I know what to do. The divine world is the Tao of gods. The immortal world is the Tao of immortals. In the divine world that I manage, I can also confer some river gods, mountain gods, city gods, and earth gods to help the Son of Heaven supervise the mortal world. That's right. This is what the divine world should do. The divine world is like a department of the heavenly court. Zhang Ziren said, the human realm has just been established, and we haven't even established some management yet. This is the most difficult time for us. If we can stabilize the situation and expand step by step until the human realm is completely filled with order, then Gu Qinsha won't be able to do anything to us. That's great merit, Dharma Saint said. It's a pity that the chaotic, demonic ape god betrayed us. He had plundered the monster world and even obtained the primordious heavenly pillar. Now his strength was extremely tyrannical. Moreover, he was dead set on cultivating the Dragonless Heart Sutra. It was basically impossible for him to change his mind. Now, the Celestial Emperor wants to recreate the demon realm. Otherwise, the demon realm, celestial 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 realm. Immortals would belong to the immortal world. Immortals would belong to the immortal world. Don't worry. The Emperor of Heaven has already promoted the new Lord of the demon world. In just a few months, the new Lord of the demon world will appear. Zhang Ziren understood the situation very well. A mysterious smile appeared on his face. The Emperor of Heaven's methods are truly remarkable. The Great Spirit God still had lingering fears. He didn't dare to betray the Emperor of Heaven for the time being. Everyone, go back to your positions. Zhang Ziren whizzed and disappeared. He wanted to kill Long Xiangtian first, and then obtain the mutant origin. Zhang Ziren seems to have found some clues. Gu Qinsha had been watching this person for a long time. He is the Lord of the mortal world. He has a better grasp of the minute changes in the mortal world than I do. Some inspirations and whims can help me. I just need to watch this person, and I will be able to obtain a lot of benefits. In Gu Qinsha's opinion, Zhang Ziren's current strength had probably surpassed Long Xiangtian and even the Earthly King. The Earthly King controlled the underworld and had many experts. However, compared to the mortal world, they were still lacking. The mortal world was the foundation of all worlds. When Zhang Ziren used his mortal world energy, he was invincible in the mortal world. However, Gu Qinsha also knew that in the distant future, the Emperor of Heaven wouldn't let Zhang Ziren stay as the Lord of the mortal world for a long time. Zhang Ziren might even encounter a calamity, just like the chaotic, demonic ape god. Of course, now, Zhang Ziren also knew this. He wouldn't be willing to be the Lord of the mortal world. In the future, he might encounter a calamity, fall into the cycle of reincarnation, or even be destroyed. Therefore, Zhang Ziren needed to find the variant origin and devour it. Only then would he have the capital to fight against the Emperor of Heaven. The Emperor of Heaven wouldn't dare to casually touch him in the future. Zhang Ziren vanished from the imperial palace. In the next moment, he arrived at another place in the mortal world that was extremely far away. This place was filled with rivers and lakes, and then it was surrounded by numerous plains. Countless commoners lived on these plains. These commoners were planting all sorts of grains and raising livestock. At the same time, these people consecrated temples and built statues to worship the god of creation and the god of creation. This place had a circumference of billions of square kilometers. The soil was fertile and the water was deep. It was the most suitable place for humans to live. The people here had also built a country. The god of creation they worshipped was Long Xiangtian, and the god of creation was Lu Chansha. In this country, everyone knew that the person who created this world was the great Emperor Long Xiangtian, and the one who created all living things was Goddess Chansha. Therefore, when they were giving birth and cultivating, they would continuously produce sacrificial power. Then, they would gather it on Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha. This is equivalent to stealing the power of our mortal world. Zhang Ziren looked at the continent in front of him that had a circumference of billions of square kilometers. There were at least trillions of people living on it. These people all worshipped Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha. The sacrificial power they could produce every day was extremely shocking. These people cultivated and lived in the mortal world, but the sacrificial power they produced was actually harvested by outsiders. If this wasn't theft, then what was? Of course, Zhang Ziren knew that Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha's family weren't the only ones doing this in the mortal world. Many heavenly venerables, heavenly longevity realm, and heavenly primordial realm experts were secretly doing this. Even people like Jing Xiu, the great spirit god, Gu Tanjian, Gu Changjian, and the Dharma saint were secretly doing this. After all, the mortal realm was so huge that it was much larger than the heaven realm of the past. They could casually find a continent and gather all the living beings and humans there. Then, they would be able to establish faith and reap the rewards. A few years of cultivation would be equivalent to thousands, or even tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of years of cultivation. The country that Long Xiangtian had built was still expanding. Under his secret urging, it was like a swarm of locusts, plundering and spreading its faith everywhere. What Long Xiangtian was doing right now was naked plundering. He didn't care about how the mortal world worked, plundering as much as he could. As the ruler of the mortal world, Zhang Ziren definitely couldn't tolerate this kind of behavior. These people took advantage of the fact that the mortal world has just been established to stir up trouble. They built countries everywhere and harvested sacrificial offerings. This can't be tolerated. We need to kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha are the ones who stood out. As long as we kill them, the others won't dare to do anything. Zhang Ziren stretched out his palm, wanting to wipe out everything here. Just as he was about to use his power to wipe out this continent, two figures suddenly appeared in front of him. It was Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha, ruler of the mortal world. I trust you've been well since we last met. Long Xiangtian said, I didn't expect you to be so vicious and merciless. There are trillions of people here, and you want to kill them all? This kind of slaughter surpasses any devil. Long Xiangtian said, Zhang Ziren, do you really want to do this? These people have sinned deeply from their souls to their bones. They violated the laws of the heavenly Tao. They can no longer be called humans. The tribulation I sent down will wipe them all out. This is the punishment of the mortal world. Zhang Ziren said, Long Xiangtian, Lu Chansha, the two of you fled before the battle, and now you're building a world without permission. What are your intentions? The Emperor Heaven has ordered you to immediately go and beg for forgiveness. Destroy the soaring dragon, celestial world, to lessen your sins. Chapter 943. The Origin Emerges Chapter 940. The Origin Emerges Chapter 940. The origin source appears, Zhang Ziren. Do you think I'm an idiot? Why would I go beg for forgiveness? The Emperor of Heaven is no longer stable. He's not as strong as Gu Qinsha. You can see that the Emperor of Heaven and Gu Qinsha will be in a long struggle. It's the perfect time for us to fish in troubled waters. Long Xiangtian laughed heartily. That's why you've been planning to find that enormous mutated origin and fuse it with your body. Then you'll be able to fight the Emperor of Heaven, and the Emperor of Heaven won't be able to do anything to you. Then you won't have to become cannon fodder for the heavenly court. Don't talk nonsense, Long Xiangtian. Zhang Ziren frowned. We're not talking nonsense, Lu Chansha said. The chaotic, demonic ape god is the first sacrifice, followed by the Lord of the divine world, the Lord of the devil world, the Lord of the immortal world, and even the earthly sovereign. Finally, you, the Lord of the human world. You'll have to block the heavenly court's calamity, but you can't see the end of it yet. At most, you'll only be able to see the tribulation of the demonic ape of chaos, but I'll be able to see the tribulation of all of you. Instead of that, it's better to stir up the situation now. With Gu Chansha blocking the celestial sovereign, we can join forces and strengthen ourselves. I think the others, such as the mighty miracle god, God Maha, and the Lord of the immortal world, Jiang Chuan, will agree. The two of you sure have a glib tongue. However, the fact that you chose to run away in the face of danger shows that you're unreliable people. Why don't I capture you and kill you? I'll refine your corpses and fuse them into my body to improve my strength. Zhang Ziren did not believe Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha. Oh, Zhang Ziren, do you really think that you have the ability to capture, kill, and refine us? Long Xiangtian said, I am invincible in the human realm. Zhang Ziren was still observing the two of them. He knew that the two of them were not in their true bodies right now. They were extremely cunning, so it was impossible for them to rashly send their true bodies to the human world. However, I came here today to eradicate your countries and cut off your sacrificial offerings. As long as you can't steal the power of the sacrificial offerings from the human world, your soaring dragon celestial realm will slowly wither. You don't have Gu Chinch's ability to produce eternal energy for those living beings to cultivate with. Wait, Lu Chansha suddenly said. Zhang Ziren, we know where the mutated origin has landed. In exchange, if you allow us to explore the human realm and obtain a small amount of sacrificial power, we will tell you where the mutated origin is. Oh, even I, the ruler of the human realm, don't know where the mutated origin is. How do you know? Zhang Ziren stopped. Also, you don't just have a small amount of sacrificial power. That's trillions of human sacrifices. With each passing day, your soaring dragon's celestial realm will expand. We found the mutated origin by chance. Don't forget, you're the ruler of the human realm, but you don't have the mutated origin. We are people who have obtained the mutated origin. From a certain point of view, we share the same origin as the mutated origin. It's only natural that we can sense it. Long Shantian said. All right, enough with the nonsense. Zhang Ziren said. Where is the mutated origin? Tell me, or you'll die. I don't have the patience to talk to you. How domineering. Just then, a voice rang out from the sky and landed behind Long Shantian. It was another young man in green robes. This young man's aura was extremely strong, not any weaker than Long Shantian's. Who are you? Zhang Ziren became vigilant. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Yi Qingyi. The green-clothed youth said, I am the one who obtained the mutated source. Haven't you been searching for our whereabouts, Lord of the human realm? What a fortuitous encounter, Zhang Ziren said. Ever since the human world condensed into a physical form, the first thing that descended was an incomparably mutated origin source. Then, some scattered small mutated origin source also descended. I think you've obtained one of them. Your mutated origin isn't small. It's 2 or 3 times the size of Long Shantian and Lu Chanch's. It seems that other than you, there will be other people who obtain the mutated origin. That's right, Master of the human realm. You can see it very clearly. Other than me, there are a few other brothers. However, they're all hidden in the dark. If you make a move today, we will set up a great killing formation and let you suffer the consequences of your actions. The person called Yi Qingyi said, It seems that you've also formed a force and will slowly invade my human realm. Zhang Ziren suddenly disappeared. He didn't want to waste time with Long Shantian and the others. His voice lingered. If that's the case, I'll report this to the Emperor of Heaven. Emperor of Heaven will punish you. You'll regret it then. This Zhang Ziren is very cunning. Seeing that Zhang Ziren had left, Long Shantian heaved a sigh of relief. Brother Yi, it's all thanks to you. Otherwise, our painstaking efforts would have been in vain. That's right. We should unite. Otherwise, we'll be defeated one by one. Yi Qingyi said, Now that we've scared Zhang Ziren away, we can take the opportunity to expand our country. We'll subjugate the Sky Sovereigns, Sky Longevity Realm, and even the Sky Origin Realm experts in the human realm. We'll make them worship us. There's no time to lose. In addition, we'll use the power of worship to summon our other brothers. We're all formed from the mutated origin. According to history, we don't exist. We belong to the nihility realm. In the future, we'll also face a great tribulation. That is when the heavenly axiom completely counterattacks. We'll all be in danger of disappearing. That's something we can't resist, so we must unite to fight against it. Lu Chansha said, So, Mr. Yi Qingyi, we should cooperate sincerely. We can't have any selfish motives. Otherwise, it'll be hard to survive the tribulation in the future. I've also sensed the power of the tribulation. The moment the heavenly axiom collapses, it will completely counterattack. Yi Qingyi said, But that Gu Chansha is also a nihility realm. In the future, there's no such person as Gu Chansha. Will he be able to survive the tribulation? This person's realm has already reached an unimaginable level. Even the heavenly axiom can't do anything to him. I've also studied his dragonless mantra. He's the creator of a great civilization that has truly surpassed the heavenly axiom. Therefore, even if the heavenly axiom's counterattack before it collapses, it shouldn't be able to kill him. However, there's also an advantage. He's too heaven-defying and has long been targeted by the heavenly axiom. 99% of the counterattack before the heavenly axiom collapses will be aimed at him. He won't die from that attack, but he'll be heavily injured. If we can seize the opportunity, we can refine him and accept everything he has. That's true. Long Xiangtian's eyes flashed with hatred and killing intent. I want to skin this person alive, inch by inch, then suppress all the people around him and torture them forever. Otherwise, how can I vent the hatred in my heart? For now, we still have to endure, because we're still no match for that Gu Chunsha, Long Xiangtian said. Lu Chansha said, Xiangtian, we only stand a chance against this person if we obtain the largest mutated origin source. I wonder if the largest variation origin has been obtained by someone. Yi Qingyi said, if someone obtains this variation origin and awakens, then we'll probably all be controlled by that person. That person might even rule over us. He'll think of a way to rob us of our variation origin. Don't worry, this variation origin is too large. Even if a living being obtains it, it won't be able to control it. Therefore, even if that person appears, he won't be too strong. He won't have the strength to crush us. Lu Chansha said, our strength is currently about the same. Neither of us can rob the other. We can only work together. If someone too strong appears, they'll want to rule over us. We definitely won't tolerate such a thing. We must work together to destroy them. Fortunately, that Zhang Ziren held back just now. Otherwise, we might not be able to fight against him. After all, the human realm is his home field. Yi Qingyi said, right now, there are only 3 of us. Saying that our other brothers are hiding in the dark is also a lie to him. Zhang Ziren doesn't dare to take the risk. If there are several of us working together, and if that huge variation origin appears, he definitely won't be a match. Right now, he's obediently exploring the human realm. His cultivation will advance extremely quickly. He doesn't want to take the risk. But right now, our every move is definitely under his surveillance. This person is definitely not simple, and he won't be easy to deal with. Lu Chansha said, all right, now let's refine the power of sacrifice and turn it into the immortal call. We'll summon the other people who have variation origin. If they ally with us, we'll bring them into our camp. If they have other intentions, we'll kill them immediately and strip them of their variation origin. That's for sure. We're all people who have obtained variation origin. Yi Qingyi said, but this doesn't mean that everyone is of one mind. There must be pros and cons. There are also ambitious people. We need to identify them one by one. If only we could sense the location of that huge variation origin, Long Xiangtian said. As the 3 of them spoke, they suddenly returned to the center of the country. It was a huge altar. They formed a triangular formation, each occupying a position of heaven, earth, and human. They activated some kind of formation. Chapter 944. The 4 Women. Chapter 941. The 4 women. Trillions of worshippers converged into an ocean. Long Xiangtian, Lu Chansha, Yi Qingyi, and the others formed various hand seals to refine and break down the sacrificial power. In the end, golden runes appeared. These runes were the undying substance. These people are quite capable. They can actually refine undying substance from the sacrificial power. Of course, this undying substance isn't true undying to me. It's very thin and of very low quality. But for celestial venerables, heavenly longevity, and even divine primordial cultivators, they can't refine undying substance like this. Gu Qinsha nodded. At the later stages of cultivation, the most important thing was to see who could refine undying substance from the sacrificial power. And the purer the undying substance, the higher the cultivation level. There are many types of undying substance. In the past, Gu Qinsha's standards were the undying of an individual, the undying of a family, the undying of a country, the undying of a world, and the undying of all living beings. However, this classification was a bit crude. It was difficult to summarize the essence and quality of undying substance. Later, Gu Qinsha reclassified undying substance into 9 levels. The first level of undying could be called void, undying. Void meant unreal and impractical. The second level was minute undying, which meant it had a tiny hint of reality. The third level was minor undying. The fourth level was medium undying. The fifth was great undying. The sixth was eternal undying. The seventh was true undying. The eighth was undying. The ninth was undying. Gu Qinsha had reached the 8th level, undying. In other words, he could refine undying substances from the sacrificial power. In reality, Heavenly Tao and Gu Taxian were both at this level. Neither Heavenly Tao nor Gu Taxian had reached the 9th level, the undying. Undying was the undying of all living beings. If all living beings reached undying, then there was no undying. This level of cultivation was extremely profound, and it couldn't be described with words. The reason why Gu Qinsha was still inferior to Tian Dao and Gu Taxian was not because of the difference in realm, but because he lacked experience. However, even if Tian Dao and Gu Taxian were at their peak, they might not be able to kill the current Gu Qinsha. In other words, the current Gu Qinsha was almost on par with the heavenly Tao Gu Taxian. From Gu Qinsha's point of view, the immortality that Long Xiang Tian, Lu Qiansha, and Yi Qingyi had refined from the sacrificial power were only the second and third minor immortal. Even when the Emperor of Heaven created the heavenly court, the substance he extracted was merely level 7 true undying. If the Emperor of Heaven could refine the 8th level of immortality, the heavenly court wouldn't have to face tribulations, and they wouldn't need to find someone to stop the calamity. Eternally tranquil, eternally impervious to all tribulations. Therefore, in terms of realm, the Emperor of Heaven was actually a level lower than Gu Qinsha. The reason why Gu Qinsha couldn't destroy the Emperor of Heaven was simple. The heavenly Tao was still there, and it was continuously supporting the Emperor of Heaven. Moreover, it was constantly preparing for a counterattack. Gu Qinsha had to be very careful. As long as he comprehended the 9th level of undying, he wouldn't be afraid of anything. He could suppress everything and create an eternal civilization. Although heavenly venerables don't need to absorb primal chaos energy, spiritual energy, or immortal energy to increase their realm, they still need the power of sacrificial power. However, they don't know how to refine immortality. They only know how to absorb it. After absorbing, the power of sacrificial power will settle in their bodies and contain some immortality. That's all. In the end, they will still die. It's the same for the heavenly longevity stage. As for the heaven primordial stage, you can see some of the characteristics of sacrificial power and begin to refine it. However, the refining method is very crude. My Dragonless Heart Sutra doesn't refine other people's sacrificial power, but my own sacrificial power. My own heart is a huge, endless treasure trove. Extracting true immortality from within is the best method. Gu Qinsha watched as the 3 of them carried out the refinement. The refined immortality runes formed the core of the spell formation and were constantly boiling. Through all sorts of secret channels, they seemed to be calling out to the most fundamental existence in their bloodline. Even Gu Qinsha could feel something calling out to him from deep within his heart. Right, the 3 of them are using Ageless to summon the mutated essence. I have also devoured Gu Tiansha's mutated essence before. That is why my body contains it. Naturally, I can feel the summoning. Let's see what they can summon. Gu Tiansha waited patiently. In his opinion, the 3 of them were in his pocket, and he could capture them at any time. However, he was afraid of alerting them. Moreover, he calculated that the 3 of them still had some use. They could be a great hindrance to the Emperor of Heaven and the human world. Therefore, he kept the 3 of them alive for the time being. It was equivalent to fattening them up before killing them. Moreover, he had already divined that Lu Chansha was the most unfathomable of the three. She was carrying out some sort of plot, and if she succeeded, she would be able to deal a heavy blow to the heavenly court. From a certain perspective, Lu Chansha and the others' greatest enemies were the heavenly court and the Emperor of Heaven. If the heavenly court won and unified the world, Lu Chansha and the others would definitely not be able to live. The Emperor of Heaven would not allow such people to exist. On the contrary, if Gu Qinsha won, he would tolerate the existence of Lu Chansha, Long Xiangtian, and the others. Gu Qinsha believed that Lu Chansha could see this. Therefore, keeping these people alive would be of great use to deal with the Emperor of Heaven and cause trouble for the Emperor of Heaven. Waves of runes formed the summoning of the Grand Formation, fusing into the void. After a day and a night, a person suddenly appeared outside the Grand Formation. It was a woman who looked to be about 17 or 18 years old. However, there were rings of light behind her head. Within the rings of light were many immortal substances. These immortal substances formed countless weapons, stars, suns, moons, humans, and all living beings. This woman has a large amount of variation origin source. With one look, Gu Qinsha could tell that this woman's variation origin source was larger and denser than Yi Qingyi's. Oh, so it's the master of the soaring dragon realm. You are also existences who have obtained variation origin source. You are summoning together. The 17 or 18-year-old girl looked at Yi Qingyi, Long Xiangtian, and Lu Chansha. Little sister, may I know your name? We are all existences born from variation origin source. It can be said that we are the pure-blooded children of the heavenly Tao and Gu Taxian. We are the absolute royal family of the world. Even the Emperor of Heaven cannot be counted, because the Emperor of Heaven was born from the heavenly Tao. Therefore, I feel that this world should be controlled by us. Don't you think so? Lu Chansha said. So that's how it is. It seems that you have formed an alliance? The 17 or 18-year-old girl giggled. My original name was Yin and I, but after I obtained a mutated source, I gave myself a new name, Yin Nisha. Long Xiangtan, Lu Chansha, the two of you established the soaring dragon celestial realm. In my opinion, the essence of your realm is plundering. This concept is even worse than Heavenly Emperor, let alone Gu Qinsha's eternal realm. I feel that we can join hands and join eternal world. How about it? We can learn the dragonless cultivation method. Maybe we can reach a higher level. What? Long Xiangtian's expression changed when he heard this. Killing intent rose from the depths of his heart. Do it. He gave the order, and in an instant, the entire spell formation began to boil, sweeping towards the young girl called Yin Nisha. The spell formation covered the sky and the earth, and as it swept forward, it was about to envelop Yin Nisha. However, with a slight movement, the cloud Nisser actually managed to escape. Then, 3 more people appeared beside it. These 3 people were actually 3 women. In other words, including Yin Nisha, there were a total of 4 women who had appeared. All 4 of them had obtained the variant origin. The variation origin source aura on them was stronger and thicker than the last. Among them, the strongest aura was 4 to 5 times that of Long Xiangtian. The 4 women formed a formation. With a violent shake, it tore apart Long Xiangtian's, Lu Chansha's, and Yi Qingyi's formation. Big sister, these 3 wanted to kill me. Luckily, we were prepared. Otherwise, wouldn't we have been killed? Yin and I said to the woman who was clearly the leader of the group. Her variation origin source was 4 to 5 times that of Long Xiangtian's. Otherwise, she wouldn't be the leader. Long Xiangtian, your soaring dragon realm is a joke. I know you hate Gu Qinsha and want nothing more than to destroy eternal world, but you don't see the situation clearly. The female leader said, I don't want to talk to you. Lu Chansha, you're a clear-headed person. You should be able to see that if the Sky Emperor wins, we will all die. But if Gu Qinsha wins, we will be able to live freely. Oh, may I ask your name? Lu Chansha asked. My name is Jiningsha. Of course, I am the same as Yin and I. My original name is Jiningsha. After obtaining variation origin source, I added the word Sha in order to obtain some kind of destiny. I think you are the same. Your original name should be Lu Chansha. After obtaining variation origin source, you added the word Sha. What are you trying to do? Since you all have variation origin source and are extremely powerful, why don't you go join Gu Chansha instead of staying in human world? Lu Chansha looked at him and said, "Oh, I understand. In Gu Chincha's eternal world, you can't get sacrifices. You can only come to the human world, establish your country, spread your faith, and obtain sacrifices to improve yourself. You have great ambitions. More sacrifice is good. Plus, human world has many opportunities. With the collapse of Heaven Dao and Gu Taxian, more variation origin source will descend. Who doesn't want more? Aren't you all looking for the biggest variation origin source?" Jiningsha said. Chapter 945. Jiningsha Chapter 942. Jiningsha Chapter 942. Jiningsha, so there is no possibility for us to work together? Long Xiangtian said gloomily. He could also see that he might not be able to suppress and kill these 4 women. He didn't expect that these people who had obtained the mutated origin would join forces. The combined strength of these 4 women was extremely tyrannical, even surpassing his, Lu Chancha's, and Yi Qingyi's combined strength. Moreover, he and Yi Qingyi were only working together for a short period of time. They could go their separate ways at any time. Maybe they would stab him in the back at the most crucial moment. Long Xiangtian had the heaven world blazing sun. Yi Qingyi also coveted it. Cooperation, of course we can work together. We can work together now. However, you want to work together to rule the world, not to be on equal footing. If I don't appear, you will definitely refine the cloud nirvana sand. This is a conspiracy. Do you think I will believe you? Jiningsha said, "Actually, there's another advantage to working with Guqin Sha. We won't be afraid of him plotting against me. He is a person who can tolerate everything." That's not necessarily true. This person is just putting on an appearance of being courteous to the wise. Long Xiangtian snorted. When the time comes, he will devour all of you. Look at his eternal world. He is actually raising pigs. He will raise them until they are fat, and when the time comes, he will slaughter them all. You have all been deceived by him. We don't need to get entangled with this problem. Jiningsha said, "Long Xiangtian, I know that you want the biggest source, but it is impossible for you to keep it to yourself. Such a fat piece of meat. Even the Emperor of Heaven and Gu Chansha will not allow you to keep it to yourself. I am sure that once the source appears, the Emperor of Heaven, Gu Chansha, and many other experts will fight for it. With our strength, the chance of getting it is very small. For example, the 3 of you. Do you really think that you can fight against Gu Chansha? Actually, it is very easy for Gu Chansha to kill you. He is just feeding you. So you're saying that we have to unite in order to make a career out of it?" Lu Chansha was very calm. "But according to what you said, even if we work together, we will not be able to get the biggest source. That's not necessarily the case. If we combine our strength, as long as we make good use of it, it will actually be extremely impressive. Especially now that the human world has just formed. The ruler of the human world and the heavenly court have not been able to completely control it. There are many things waiting to be done. At the beginning of the primordial world, if we can gather a large number of living beings and refine them as sacrifices, we can even gather billions or even hundreds of trillions of humans in a few months to offer sacrifices to us. Our cultivation level can reach a certain level, and we can even use these immortal substances to create a magic treasure that is not inferior to the heavenly court. Long Xiangtian, you are gathering sacrifices and refining the immortal essence. In fact, you are also infusing the immortal essence into your soaring dragon celestial realm, then turning it into a huge treasure similar to the heavenly court. But you are fighting alone. It is too slow. If we work together, we can quickly plunder the countless saints, celestial lords, sky longevity realm, sky origin realm, and other experts. Think about it. If the 7 of us work together, how many experts and countries can we quickly wipe out? How much faith can we obtain in a short period of time? How much faith can we refine the immortal matter? Jiningsha said. I see. Yi Qingyi said. You mean we work together to quickly wipe out the human world, gather a large number of sacrifices, and forge an earth-shattering treasure? Just like the prehistoric technology civilization, the 12 leaders working together to forge the battleship and the god system? That's right. This is the only way we can fight against the upcoming calamities. Otherwise, we will all vanish into thin air and die without a burial place. Jiningsha said, This is what we need right now, not to take everything for ourselves. Actually, we have a huge advantage over the heavenly court. Right now, each of us is far stronger than the heavenly kings of the heavenly court. If we work together, even that Zhang Ziren may not be able to do anything to us. And with Gu Chansha and the Emperor of Heaven restraining each other, as long as we become strong enough and forge a treasure similar to the heavenly court, we can make the heavenly court and Gu Chansha hesitate. Because if we choose to perish together, the human world and the eternal world will be greatly affected. This is not something that anyone wants to see. I agree with this situation. Yi Qingyi said first. You. Long Xiangtian looked at Yi Qingyi, his eyes flashing with strong killing intent again. If I knew you were unreliable, I would have betrayed me already. We're working together. What betrayal? Yi Qingyi frowned. Long Xiangtian, you are too arrogant. Do you really think I am your subordinate? Anyone who disobeys me must die. Long Xiangtian suddenly shouted. Enough. Lu Chansha suddenly said. Chansha you. Long Xiangtian was shocked. At this time, Lu Chansha ignored Long Xiangtian. Jiningsha, what you said makes sense. That is what I originally wanted. I agree to work with you. I will take out the soaring dragon celestial realm and create a treasure even stronger than the heavenly court. What do you think? Haha, I knew it. You're the one who sees things clearly. Jiningsha nodded. Then it is decided. We will work together now and wipe out the countless countries in the human world. As the two shook hands, a mysterious fate energy descended, causing these people to reach the peak in an instant. Gu Qinsha quietly observed from the side. He did not make a move. He could see that these people had extremely strong fate energy. When this fate energy gathered, it could cause immeasurable changes. Now that these 7 people worked together to wipe out the human world, they could cause a lot of trouble for the Emperor of Heaven. Not only would Gu Chansha not suppress these 7 people, he would also secretly help them. With their help, he could make the Emperor of Heaven exhausted. Right now in the human world, there are indeed more saints than sand on the riverbank. In the current human realm, there are indeed more sages than the sand on the riverbank. Celestial venerables are everywhere. Longevity realm is more than dogs, and there is no shortage of divine primordial chi. These experts are building countries and desperately plundering and worshipping. Even Zhang Ziren can't suppress all of them. However, these 7 people who have obtained the mutated origin can quickly sweep across the world and turn the world upside down. After they cause damage to the celestial sovereign, I will subdue them, and then I can rest easy. Gu Chansha calculated in his heart again. It seems that I have to transform and join these people. I can sense that as these people quickly gather faith, the huge mutated essence will appear to reap the fruits of its labor. After thinking about it, Gu Chansha's body suddenly changed. His body emitted a strong variation origin energy. Then, he turned into a middle-aged man and appeared here. Oh, another person who has obtained the variant origin has been summoned here. Jiningsha was the first to feel it. She immediately looked over and saw the middle-aged man that Gu Chansha had transformed into. The middle-aged man that Gu Chansha transformed into was very elegant and had an extraordinary temperament. He seemed to have experienced many things and was full of wisdom. I am the sand of civilization. Greetings, everyone. I understand your thoughts. I am willing to join your alliance and create a brand new world together. We will advance and retreat together. Gu Chansha gave himself a pseudonym, the Sand of Civilization. So it's Brotherwin. Welcome, welcome. The density of your variant origin energy is even higher than mine. Jining Shah's eyes flashed with surprise. With Brother Wen joining us, our business development will be even faster. Since that's the case, let's start immediately. Long Xiang Tian calmed down at this time. His tone became gloomy. He understood the situation. Right now, he must take out the soaring dragon world that he had painstakingly built and use it as the foundation for his magic treasure. Looks like Brother Long doesn't want to let go of your soaring dragon world. Gu Chansha said, when we gather together, we must be united. Otherwise, if we split up, I'm afraid that Emperor Heaven doesn't even need to deal with us. We'll just be digging our own graves. Brother One, don't worry. Long Xiang Tian knows the big picture. Lu Chanch's tone was calm. Long Xiang Tian didn't say anything else after hearing Lu Chanch's words. Somewhere in the human world, Zhang Ziren was still looking at this place. A mirror appeared in front of him. This mirror showed the situation of Long Xiang Tian and the others. Next to him were Gu Tanjian, Gu Changjian, Jing Xiu, the Great Spirit God, Dharma Saint, and others. Everyone, these people are going to take over the human world. We can't stop them. Only the Emperor Heaven can suppress them. But right now, the Emperor Heaven is creating a new heavenly court. He also has to monitor the situation of the eternal world. He can't be here. What should we do? Zhang Ziren looked at these people. I think we need to suppress this as soon as possible. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. The Warlock Saint said, if it was Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha, it would still be manageable. Who knew that so many possessors of mutated original sources would suddenly appear? This is not good. However, there is no time to lose. If we allow them to expand their territory and gather tens of trillions, or even hundreds of trillions, or even trillions of human sacrifices, the immortal kingdom formed by the power of the sacrifices could seriously threaten the human world. At that time, the situation would be out of control. Right now, if we, the heavenly kings, lords of the realms, sovereigns of the earthly realms, and other experts were to gather together and launch a thunderous attack, we have a high chance of winning. Zhang Ziren said. Chapter 946. Chapter 943. Another world. Chapter 943. Another world. I wonder if the earthly sovereign is willing to help in this matter? Juling Shun asked tentatively. Zhang Zijin wanted to organize all the experts in the celestial court other than the heaven and earth to carry out the crusade. However, he was only the master of the human world. Logically speaking, he did not have the absolute power to order the masters of the immortal realm, the demon realm, the devil realm, the divine realm, and even the underworld. Unless the Emperor of Heaven gave the order, it was impossible to unite so many forces. But even when the future Emperor of Heaven was at his peak, many of the orders he gave were actually disobeyed in secret. They all conserved their strength and did everything possible to improve their cultivation. Not to mention now, the Emperor of Heaven was actually suppressed by Gu Chensh's Everworld. His prestige was at its lowest point. Some people even thought that the Emperor of Heaven might die prematurely. For example, the Great Spirit God's current state of mind was very subtle. He was the Lord of the divine realm. Logically, he should be a firm supporter of the heavenly court, but he was best at judging the situation. From all the signs, he had already seen through the decline of the heavenly court. In fact, the heavenly court was at its most dangerous moment. If it did not change, it was very likely that it would really be destroyed. At this time, he was already looking for a way out for himself. If I can get that huge mutated origin, I can gain the power to fight against the Emperor of Heaven. Then, Gu Qinsha will not be able to do anything to me. If I don't get that mutated origin, no matter how powerful my cultivation is, it will be of no use. The Great Spirit God already had other ideas. Maybe I could devour the Lord of the immortal realm and the Lord of the demon realm. Merging these worlds together is also a good way. The earthly sovereign will definitely help, because it is a good thing. You should know that the Emperor of Earth also has a grudge against Long Xiangtian. Initially, it was the Emperor of Earth who captured Long Xiangtian. Long Xiangtian is a person who will definitely seek revenge. Once he becomes powerful, he will definitely take revenge on the Emperor of Earth, the warlock saint said. That's right. At this moment, the voice of the earthly sovereign could be heard. After that, he appeared. The reincarnation power on his body was extremely dense. It was as if it could overturn the sky and earth. It was getting more and more terrifying. Furthermore, a black halo appeared behind him. Within the halo, one could see layers upon layers of hell. Gusts of chilling wind blew, and the wails of ghosts and gods could be heard. Even the great spirit god felt his heart tremble when he saw this. This was because he felt that if he was tainted by this reincarnation power, everything he had would be stripped away, and he would never have the chance to cultivate again. Lord, earthly sovereign's cultivation is getting deeper and deeper. Zhang Ziran praised. You flatter me. The Emperor of Earth waved his hand and said, this still depends on the establishment of a human world. Many human beings have accepted the reincarnation of the underworld, and they have developed a sense of reverence for the underworld. At the same time, they worship me. My underworld has a large amount of sacrificial power, which can be refined into immortality, causing the underworld to grow stronger and stronger. The human world is a treasure trove. But now, those who have obtained the mutant origin, or should I say, the voiders, are stealing the treasures in large quantities. We have to suppress them all and restore clarity to the world. Zhang Ziran said. What do the heavenly kings say? The Emperor of Earth asked. And the Lord of the demon world, the new Lord of the demon world created by the Emperor of Heaven, has he appeared? They have all appeared. Even the new Punisher Heavenly King and School Advancement Heavenly King were promoted by the Emperor of Heaven. At this time, Primal Chaos Heavenly King appeared. Beside him were Heavenly King Daluo, Heavenly King Wisdom, Heavenly King Dong Hua, and so on. Apart from them, there were also two young people who had Heavenly King origin. One of them was School Advancement Heavenly King, and the other was Punisher Heavenly King. Furthermore, the aura of a door could be faintly seen on the new School Advancement Heavenly King. That door was the new Raging Dragon Gate. The new Punisher Heavenly King also had a gourd, and its aura was even stronger than the original Immortal Slaying God Punisher gourd. Raging Dragon Gate? Immortal Slaying God Punisher gourd? The great spirit god shivered at the sight of it. Don't tell me His Majesty Emperor of Heaven created all of them? That's right. Emperor of Heaven created a brand new Raging Dragon Gate. No, it has a new name. It's called the Door of Indestructibility. The brand new Heavenly King Jean said, Lord Heavenly Emperor promoted me and gave me a name, Hua Misha. I am the Punisher Heavenly King. This gourd of mine is called the Ever-Extinguishing Gourd, and it specializes in destroying everworlds. My name is Hua Yongsha, and Emperor of Heaven gave me that name. And me. Right at this moment, another person appeared at the scene. This person was a young man with an elegant demeanor and was extremely handsome. However, his entire body exuded a demonic aura. I am the leader of the demon race, the creator of the demon realm. The new demon realm has been created by His Majesty Emperor of Heaven, the young man said. I am Hua Yongsha. Greetings, everyone. New Lord of the Sun and Moon, come out, the primordial Heavenly King said, cupping his hands. Instantly, a ball of light appeared, illuminating the entire area. There was no darkness at all. Another young man appeared. This young man was extremely strong, far above Hua Misha, Hua Yongsha, and Hua Yaisha. I am the new Lord of the Sun and Moon, Hua Mingsha. The young man cupped his hands. Emperor of Heaven ordered us to work together to destroy the rebels and the Yonko. All of these were created by Emperor of Heaven. Gu Danjian, Gu Changjian, and Jingxiu were all thinking. In this way, I'm afraid the strength of the Celestial Emperor has to be reevaluated. The strength of the Celestial Emperor is probably far beyond our estimation and imagination. He is also improving, and I'm afraid he has also devoured a lot of variant sources. Actually, Gu Tanjian and Gu Changjian were the reincarnations of Infinite Blade and Infinite Sword, but they had no status in the heavenly court. That was because the endless 36 treasures were the keys to Emperor of Heaven's throne. But because of the collapse of the Tao of Heaven, Emperor of Heaven didn't need the keys to take the throne. Therefore, they had lost their use. They couldn't compare to Jing Xiu. Jing Xiu had the status of innocuous heavenly king. Apart from them, the Dharma saint, the three celestial masters, an old man untainted who had submitted to the heavenly court were also in an awkward position. But these people had their own ideas. Some even thought that after the heavenly court and Gu Chansha both suffered losses, they would rise up by themselves. Now, everyone had their own ideas. However, the celestial arch was able to create celestial kings, the lord of the demon realm, and the lord of the sun and moon. This meant that his power was far above everyone's estimation, and thus, everyone's thoughts were suppressed once again. This time, even King of Earth's expression became solemn. This lord of samsara finally understood that Emperor of Heaven was even more terrifying. It was still unknown who would emerge victorious in the battle with Gu Chensha. Greetings, Lord of the Sun and Moon. The new Lord of the Sun and Moon, Hua Mingsha, appeared. Starlight descended and turned into celestial lords. These celestial lords were extremely powerful. When they united, they formed a heavenly cycle formation that had the power to crush everything. In the past, without the leadership of Lord of the Sun and Moon, the Lords of the Sun and Moon were like headless snakes, unable to exert their power. But now, with Lord of the Sun and Moon, the situation was completely different. Now, the 9 celestial lords, many stars, Lord of the Sun and Moon, Underworld, God, Immortal, Demon Realm, and Demon Realm have all returned. The order of the heavenly court has been established. In a few days, everything will be in place, Lord of the Sun and Moon, Hua Mingsha, said with the tone of a leader. We're still missing one, Zhang Ziran suddenly said. Yes, we're still missing Heaven Empress. Lord of the Sun and Moon suddenly appeared. Hua Mingsha looked at Zhang Ziran for a while and said, but Heaven Empress has come out. She's doing something important. She will appear at our most crucial moment to help us. Her situation is not something we can control. I think Heaven Empress should be in the everlasting world. Zhang Ziran said. Lu Baiyue took the Empress of Heaven's source and refined it into his own soul. But His Majesty the Celestial Arch used a supreme divine ability to recreate the Empress of Heaven's source, allowing the real Empress of Heaven to be born. This is the way to suppress everything. In the future, when you work for the heavenly court, remember not to be half-hearted. Otherwise, the Celestial Arch can create or destroy you. Okay. Now let's think about how to destroy Long, Xiangtian, and the others. Lord of the Sun and Moon said. King of Earth sneered. He could tell that Hua Mingsha, the newly born master of Sun and Moon, wanted to be the commander, but Zhang Ji of the human realm also wanted to be the leader. Actually, neither of them could lead him, but he had other ideas, so he just watched from the sidelines. Who would be the leader of this war was actually a big deal. It meant that whoever took the lead would have priority in obtaining variation origin. As the heavenly court's people prepared for war, Long Xiangtian, Lu Chansha, Yi Qingyi, Jiningsha, Yin Nisha, and the others, as well as the ancient Dust Sand Santa civilization, worked together to conquer the human world. They took over the various kingdoms and immediately started to offer sacrifices to the soaring dragon celestial realm. However, it was no longer called the Soaring Dragon Celestial Realm, but Otherworld. This name was suggested by Gu Qinsha. He told Jiningsha that everyone had obtained variation origin. Otherworld was a truth that was different from all living beings, so they should just call it Otherworld. Jiningsha agreed with this suggestion and immediately changed Soaring Dragon Heaven Realm to Otherworld. At first, Long Xiangtian tried his best to oppose this, but everyone agreed and he couldn't do anything about it. Once the name was changed, even Jiningsha felt that her fate had increased. She immediately looked at Gu Qinsha's civilization, sand, in a different light. High up in the sky, The 8 people stood and looked down at the huge empire below. Jiningsha and Gu Chansha stood side by side. The empire below was built by 10 Sky Origin Realm cultivators. I suspect there are more hidden cultivators. We need to be careful. This empire seems to have a lot of people. Long Xiangtian said, but it doesn't matter. With so many of us working together, even the heavenly court will have to retreat. Is that so? Rumble. A voice sounded. Then, the new Lord of the Sun and Moonhua Mingsha appeared not far away. Suddenly, Long Xiangtian and Lu Chancha's sun and moon came out and flew towards Hua Mingsha. Chapter 947. Master Chapter 944. Master, the new Sun Moon Lord Hua Mingsha is very strong. Who knows how the Emperor of Heaven created him? His body is full of immortal substance, and it's level 7, true immortal. This power is very scary. Long Xiangtian and the others' immortal substances are between level 2 and level 3 minor immortal. The Emperor of Heaven can directly refine level 7 true immortal. From this, one can see the difference between the Emperor of Heaven and Long Xiangtian and the others. However, Gu Chansha can create level 8 immortal, which means he's 1 level higher than the Emperor of Heaven. No one knew what the celestial monarch had refined into the body of this new master of the sun and moon Hua Mingsha, but the attraction he exerted on the sun and moon of the heaven realm far surpassed Long Xiangtian and Lu Chancha's control. Originally, after Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha obtained the origin of the Lord of the Sun and Moon respectively and devoured the sun and moon of the heaven realm, each of their potential reached 1,000 yuan. However, they could not control the sun and moon of the heaven realm, nor could they refine them into their own yuan shun and soul. Now that the new Sun Moon Lord Hua Mingsha appeared, they couldn't suppress the sun and moon anymore. Not good, Long Xiangtian roared. More immortal substance came out of his body, like a huge net, pulling the sun. Too naive, Long Xiangtian. Hua Mingsha laughed coldly. I am the new Sun Moon Lord. You stole Heaven Realm's sun and moon, betrayed Heavenly Court, and fought against the Emperor of Heaven. You're seeking death. Also, Long Xiangtian, the immortal substance you refined is too low. It can't compare to the Emperor of Heaven. My immortal substance is much stronger than yours. Your immortal substance is like gold to mine. I won't waste any more time. Heaven Realm's sun and moon, return to me and fuse with me. As she spoke, waves of immortal substance came out of Hua Mingsha's body. These immortal substances are much higher quality than Long Xiangtian and Lu Chancha's. Long Xiangtian and Lu Chansha couldn't control anymore. The sun and moon were about to be taken by Hua Mingsha. Otherworld. At this moment, Jiningsha made her move. With a slight movement of the woman's, a gigantic otherworld appeared. The otherworld was originally the soaring dragon celestial realm. In order to create this world, Long Xiangtian had spent a lot of effort. Later on, after changing its name to Otherworld, its power became even greater, and it seemed to be chasing after the heavenly court. At that moment, the Otherworld's power was activated, and the Otherworld's power shook the heavens and the earth. Not only did it cover the sun and moon, but it also covered Hua Mingsha, try to take this new ruler of the sun and moon. What new master of the sun and moon? You probably don't know how powerful our newly refined otherworldly world is. Once this otherworldly world is completed, our position will be established. From now on, the eternal world, the otherworldly world, and the heavenly court will be in a tripartite balance. None of us can do anything to the other. You rebels and traitors. Hua Mingsha's expression changed. Indeed, as soon as Jiningsha used the otherworldly world, he couldn't block it. He couldn't unleash his power, and the immortal substance in his body was fading away. In the blink of an eye, a lot of it was being devoured. After all, the immortal substance in his body was bestowed upon him by the celestial arch, not something he could refine himself. Therefore, he was still not proficient in controlling the immortal substance. Moreover, the other world was a name suggested by Gu Qinsha, and it contained a great deal of destiny. Most importantly, Jiningsha and the others already had mutated source energy. The mutated source energy was very powerful. It was level 8 immortal. It was stronger than the level 7 true immortal created by the Emperor of Heaven. It was just that these people couldn't unleash its true power. Only Gu Qinsha could unleash the full power of level 8 immortal. He could even refine immortal substances from the sacrifices of living beings. Therefore, when Gu Qinsha turned into the civilization sand and blended in with Long Xiangtian and the others, they couldn't tell him apart. Zhang Ziren, aren't you going to come out? Hua Mingsha immediately cried out. She was in great danger. At this time, Zhang Ziren and the others came out. The 9 heavenly kings, ancient demon Sand, Lord of Demon World Maha, Lord of Immortal World Jiang Chuan, Lord of God World the Great Spirit God, and the others formed a huge formation. This formation looked like the heavenly court. It fiercely crashed into the other world. Rumble. Under the collision, the void shattered. The human world seemed to shake. Hua Mingsha took the opportunity to change and suddenly broke free. However, he didn't obtain the Heaven Realm Sun and Moon. However, the Heaven Realm Sun and Moon didn't return to Long Xiangtian and Lu Chancha's body. Instead, they fused into the other world. The moment the Heaven Realm Sun and Moon fused into the other world shone brightly and expanded outwards. Then, it gave birth to an aura that was completely different from the human world, but complemented each other. Not good. This other world is absorbing the human world's power and twisting it into an opposite power. Lord of the human world, Zhang Ziren, immediately sensed it. What are you waiting for? At this time, refine the other world and destroy everything. Completely suppress these rebels. Emperor of Earth said fiercely, activate the power. Heavenly court and underworld, humans, demons, immortals, all order, suppress the ancient. All the experts on heavenly court's side roared. Instantly, the formation crushed the other world again. It was like a bloody mouth that slowly swallowed the other world and digested it. The battle spread out and hid in many places in the human world. If this was the heaven realm of the past, a battle of this level would probably cause chaos in the heaven realm. Fortunately, the human world now was much sturdier than the heaven realm of the past. Heavenly Court seems to be fighting with those mutants. I wonder who will win. Countless sages, sky venerables, sky longevity realm, and sky origin realm experts in the human world were watching this battle. They communicated with each other with their divine will. One after another, they were guessing and preparing for the future. If I'm not wrong, Heavenly Court will win. Not necessarily. These people all obtain the mutant essence. That mutant essence is a mutant produced by the collapse of the Heavenly Tao. Now that the Heavenly Tao has collapsed, Heavenly Court probably won't be able to control the situation. In a strange space, there are dozens of Sky Origin Realm experts, hundreds of Heavenly Lord Longevity Realm figures, and thousands of sages gathered together. 3 Sky Venerables were among them. Yuangu, Putoa, Dosheng. They had originally pledged allegiance to Heavenly Court and worked under the 9 Heavenly Kings. However, in reality, they were only pretending to obey. They used Heavenly Court's power to build a country in the human world, gather faith, and collect sacrifices. Moreover, they seem to have formed some kind of alliance with other experts. However, Yuangu, Putoa, and Dosheng were no longer Sky Venerables, but Sky Origin Realm experts. All of them had broken through to the Sky Origin Realm. No one knew how many resources and cultivation bases they had seized to break through to this realm. Moreover, all of them were unfathomable, as if they weren't just at the first origin realm. They were in this strange space in the human world. Many experts were watching this battle that would decide the future of the human world. In this strange space, there was a huge mirror. As the mirror flashed, it vividly displayed the battle between Heavenly Court and the other realms. Obviously, this kind of divine power and cultivation base was not something that the experts here could control. This was because even Zhang Xiren's expression could be seen in this mirror. Welcome, my lord. At this moment, Yuan Gu, Do Sheng, and Pu Tuan knelt down as if they were welcoming the arrival of a great existence. At this moment, dozens of Sky Origin Realm experts, hundreds of Sky Origin Realm experts, and thousands of sages knelt down together. A figure appeared in front of the mirror. This figure seemed real and illusory, as if it was illusory. However, he spoke. Everyone, you have done well. You have provided me with many sacrifices. In the future, when I destroy Emperor Heaven and Gu Chunsha, you will all be meritorious subjects. You will all enjoy immortality and indestructibility. I am not Emperor Heaven, who needs his subordinates to block disasters for him. Yes, Yuan Gu said. My lord is very powerful. If it wasn't for my lord's guidance, we wouldn't have been able to reach this realm. Our current cultivation base is all thanks to my lord. Therefore, we will definitely be loyal to my lord. We originally wanted to rely on Heavenly Court to obtain rewards from Emperor Heaven. Unfortunately, Emperor Heaven didn't give us any benefits at all. In this case, we might as well start anew. You are right. Anyone who follows me will receive benefits. The mysterious Lord said, my current strength is not below Emperor Heaven and Gu Qinsha. However, I don't want to show myself for the time being and become their target. Therefore, I will hide in the dark and let them fight to the death first. Then, I will come out and reap the benefits. Also, you don't have to worry about being punished by Emperor Heaven after you rely on me. I can completely protect you, understand? Of course we believe in my lord's ability. Do Sheng kowtowed again. Since that's the case, all of you can hide in this space and wait for the battle to end. The mysterious lord disappeared again as he spoke. Seeing the mysterious lord disappear, Do Sheng and the other two communicated telepathically. This person should be the one who obtained the huge mutated source. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that he could fight against Emperor Heaven and Gu Qinsha. However, this person has really given us many benefits. We can rely on him for a long time and squeeze some things out of him, if we can find a chance to devour him. Chapter 948. A fearsome thing. Chapter 945. Something terrible swallow this person. I'm afraid we won't be able to do that with our cultivation. Yuan Gu was also very afraid, but he was also blinded by greed. However, this person must be devoured by us. Only then can we ascend to the heavens in a single step and continue our previous glory. Think about how we commanded the heavens and earth before. Who would dare to disobey us? If we want to return to our previous position, we must devour this person. Only by devouring this person can the Emperor of Heaven and Gu Qinsha do nothing to us. That's right. I, Do Sheng, have dominated the world since the primordial era, controlling the Son of Heaven and making the immortals bow before me. But now, I've truly fallen to the level of an ordinary person. I've truly lost my status and dignity. Subho sighed. However, his cultivation base is more than enough to crush us to death. In front of him, our power is like that of an ant compared to a divine dragon. I truly didn't expect that in just a few short decades, the world would have completely changed. We don't even recognize it anymore. The heavenly realm was also gone. The new human world has also been established, and all of our wisdom and calculations have become obsolete. That might be a good thing for us. Yuan Gu said, we were originally only at the Empyrean realm and couldn't break through to the heavenly life realm. But now we actually broke through to the heaven origin realm. This is also a breakthrough. If it wasn't for the great changes in the world, we would still be frogs at the bottom of a well. We still have a chance. I recently comprehended the strongest divination technique. Don't forget, we still have a powerful helper. The heavenly premier victorious doer said. What helper? Yuan Gu asked. My daughter, Do Yu. Do Sheng said. She's my daughter after all. Even if I break her arm, she's still connected to her tendons. She's now a big shot in the eternal world, and her cultivation is extremely profound. Moreover, she's the mother of Gu Xingjian. If we can borrow the power of everlasting world, will we have a chance to plot against this person? That's possible. Yuan Gu hesitated, but Dou Yu is determined to follow Gu Qinsha. He's not on our side. It doesn't matter. The everlasting world isn't a monolithic block. Now, there's mutual suspicion. Don't forget that during the everlasting war, the Emperor of Heaven's incarnation and Gu Qinsha confronted each other. He said that his true body is right next to Gu Qinsha, and Gu Qinsha admitted it. Everyone is afraid that the person next to them is the true body of the Emperor of Heaven. Do Doer said, Do. I can't say for the time being. Do Sheng said, I naturally have a plan. We'll use this Lord's power to establish a country, plunder everything in the human world, and gather the power of sacrifice. At the same time, I'll contact my daughter and let her come to the human world to plant the Dragonless Heart Sutra in the power of sacrifice. At that time, we can make this Lord and Gu Qinsha fight to the death, and then we'll have enough confidence to seize the origin. However, we need to recruit more followers to be on our side. I can already see that this mysterious Lord hasn't completely refined the origin in his body. Otherwise, he would have fought against Gu Qinsha and the Emperor of Heaven with great fanfare. Also, I think the reason why this mysterious Lord cultivated us is actually very simple. He also took a fancy to our relationship with Dou Yu. He also wants to infiltrate the everlasting world and find a lot of opportunities. That way, we'll really be able to make use of this. If we do this well, we won't be able to restore our previous power, but at least we won't be controlled by anyone. The three of them calculated with each other and prepared to go all out in the human world. Rumble. At this time, the battle between the people of the heavenly court and the people of the other world was getting more and more intense. The gigantic other world had completely descended upon the human world and was rolling around in the sky of the human world. It was unknown just how big of a phenomenon it had created. This other world is really strong. I can't even suppress it. The Lord of the human world, Zhang Ziren, saw the other world was shining brightly. He used the power of the human world, but was actually unable to suppress the other world. He was very annoyed. If the human world is established and everyone in the human world is loyal to me, my power will at least be countless times stronger. But now that the human world has just been established, the people are not united and their beliefs are in chaos. It's hard for me to use my power. I can only use a little bit of the power of the human world. My power of underworld is also not enough. If the human world is a cauldron, all the immortals, demons, gods, humans, and demons will respect reincarnation. The reincarnation power of underworld will reach its peak and my power will increase by a lot. The King of Earth also used the power of underworld reincarnation. Unfortunately, it was still not enough to suppress the other world. All right, we won't be able to get any results if we continue fighting like this. Jiningsha said, Zhang Ziren, are you really going to unify the human world? I don't think that's possible. Also, you know that in the future, the Emperor of Heaven will use you to block disasters. Your position as the Lord of the human world will not last forever. It's better for us to live in harmony and let us develop and grow in the human world. In this way, the Emperor of Heaven will have no choice but to use you to destroy us. Your position will also be stable. Isn't that right? This is called nurturing bandits for self-improvement. If the bandits are destroyed, you will have no meaning. You should know that the Emperor of Heaven's power is getting stronger and stronger. Soon, he won't need you guys anymore. Look, he is using people like Hua Mingsha, Hua Yaosha, and Hua Misha. These people were created by him, just like how Gu Qinsha created the general of the people. In the future, he will use these people and not you guys, because the people he created will be sincere to him, and you guys will have your own selfish motives. Shut up. Hearing Ji Ningsha's blatant provocation, the Sun Moon Lord Hua Mingsha was enraged. Which, you have a glib tongue. You want to create chaos in the heavenly court. This is unforgivable. When I catch you, I will imprison you and make you wish you were dead. I will let all those who don't respect the heavenly court see the consequences. Brother, when this person's mouth is really stinky, what kind of things did the Emperor of Heaven create? Compared to Gu Chencha's general of the people and the king of common people, they are so much worse. I heard that the general of the common people in the eternal world is a master of the sky origin stage. Although he may not be as strong as this Huang Mingsha, the general of the common people is fair and impartial. He is neither happy nor angry, neither sad nor resentful. He is much stronger than this Huang Mingsha. Jiningsha spoke to the sand of civilization while activating the other world. This Hua Mingsha wants to protect the Emperor of Heaven and become the new Sun Moon Lord. The Sun Moon Lord controls many starry lords and at the same time can control the 9 heavenly kings. The Emperor of Heaven definitely wants to create an existence that he can completely control. That's for sure. The Lord of the human realm Zhang Ziren, the Lord of the God realm, the Great Spirit God, the Lord of the immortal realm Jiang Chuan, and the Lord of the demon realm God Maha are all unreliable, especially the Great Spirit God. I think we can make use of him. Gu Chensha also injected some of his power into the other world. He actually didn't want to destroy the other world. He felt that it could be developed and integrated into the Dragonless Sutra to create a better civilization and enrich Gu Chencha's thinking. This time, with Zhang Ziren as the leader, they want to eliminate us. Even if we don't fight, it's useless. The Heavenly Court wants to chase us to the end. Do you think we can escape this time? I don't have any thoughts of defeating the Heavenly Court. Even if the 8 of us join hands, we are still not a match for the Emperor of Heaven. But the Emperor of Heaven can't be distracted right now. Also, I don't think the Celestial Arch wants to force us into a corner, leaving us with no way out and having to rely on Gu Chensha. Jiningsha analyzed, but Zhang Ziren and the others are very aggressive. We are actually at a disadvantage. We can definitely escape this time. Gu Chensha said, there is someone who doesn't want us to die. He wants to take us in and become his subordinates. Who? Jiningsha was startled at first, then regained her senses. You mean the person who obtained the huge mutation source? If that person really comes out, then only that person can temporarily stand up to the Emperor of Heaven. Oh, isn't it a tripartite confrontation with Gu Chensha and the Emperor of Heaven? Gu Chensha asked. I've observed the weather. Whether it is the Emperor of Heaven or the person who obtained the huge mutation source, they're all a level lower than Gu Chensha. Jiningsha said, if that's the case, you think highly of Gu Chensha? You think he can control this world? Gu Chensha wanted to hear Jiningsha's thoughts. That's not necessarily the case. Let's see if he can survive the last calamity. Jiningsha said, we are all the people who obtained the huge mutation source. It could be said that we are the children of the Heaven Tao and Gu Taxian. They still exist now, but they are entangled with each other. In the end, they will be completely destroyed. At the moment when the Heaven Tao is destroyed, it will release a huge curse or killing intent. The first to be cursed will naturally be Gu Chensha. If Gu Chensha can survive this calamity, then there is still hope that he can really use the Dragonless Heart Sutra to create a brand new civilization. And there is one more thing that you should know. At the moment when the Heaven Tao and Gu Taxian are destroyed, it will give birth to a terrifying existence that simultaneously fuses the Heaven Tao and Gu Taxian's core spiritual consciousness. This terrifying existence is the most terrifying thing since ancient times. Whether this thing is good or evil, nobody can tell. Even Gu Chensha is not this thing's opponent. In the end, we still have to see the birth of this thing. Everything we're doing now is to prepare to fight against this thing. If Gu Chensha can devour the Emperor of Heaven and unify everything in the world, then we can fight against this terrifying thing. But the current situation is that the people are in a mess. Everyone is doing their own thing. If that terrifying thing is born, I'm afraid it will immediately destroy everything. Chapter 949. Chapter 946. Ancient Tao Immortal Chapter 946. Ancient Tao Immortal. Indeed, at the moment of heavenly Tao's destruction, Gu Chunsha will face the greatest calamity. Heavenly Tao's essence and Gu Taxian's essence will completely fuse together. At that time, we don't know what kind of terrifying thing will be born. Gu Chincha's heart shook after hearing Jiningsha's opinion. That's right, this was what he was worried about. At his current level, he could already extract the 8th level immortality from the sacrifices of all living beings. This was the realm of Heavenly Tao and Gu Taxian. Whether it was Heavenly Tao or Gu Taxian, the limit of their creation was the 8th level immortality. They couldn't reach the 9th level, the highest level immortality. However, if the Heavenly Tao and Ancient Celestial Treading were entangled and destroyed at the same time, the terrifying thing that was born would very likely reach the 9th level of the Undying Realm. At that time, Gu Qinsha would definitely not be its match. Only he knew how terrifying the 9th level of the Undying Realm was. At this level, there was no distinction between good and evil. Destruction and creation were all in the palm of one's hand. If this terrifying thing wanted to destroy the world, it was only a matter of a thought. Gu Qinsha had always been on guard against such a thing, but he couldn't stop it. He could only wait for this moment to appear while accumulating strength. When that terrifying thing appeared, he could directly suppress and refine it to get rid of the danger. However, in the meantime, Gu Qinsha himself had to cultivate to the 9th level, the invincible Undying Realm. Only by reaching this level could he resist the birth of that terrifying thing. Rumble. While Gu Qinsha and Jiningsha were communicating telepathically, the battle between the Otherworld and Heavenly Court was getting more and more intense. After many clashes, both sides' strength was showing signs of exhaustion. It could be said that both sides were suffering. At this critical moment, a giant hand descended from the sky, breaking through the layers of void and grabbing towards the Otherworld. The layers of the Otherworld's crystal barrier couldn't stop it, and was directly grabbed by this giant hand. The giant hand had an immortal light and was black and white. It seeped into the Otherworld and grabbed towards Jiningsha and the others. Giant mutation source energy. Gu Qinsha's heart skipped a beat. The holder of the mutation source energy finally couldn't hold it in anymore and started attacking these people. Long Xiangtian, Lu Chansha, Yi Qingyi, Jiningsha, Yenisha, and the others were all holders of the mutation source energy. They worked together to create the Otherworld. If they were subdued and obtained, they would immediately gain great power. Their worship far surpassed that of ordinary Empyreans, heavenly longevity, and heavenly primordial realm experts. In this case, if the Heavenly Court took these people in and used their sacrifices to forge a new Heavenly Court, even Gu Qinsha would have a headache. That was why Gu Qinsha had entered this place in disguise and changed his name to the Sands of Civilization. You are all under me and become my subjects. I will not mistreat you. Long Xiangtian, I know you hate Gu Qinsha to the bone. As long as you pledge your allegiance to me, I will definitely help you kill Gu Qinsha and take your revenge. The voice came from the hand. The biggest holder of mutation source energy has made a move. Jiningsha was shocked. He has been observing us since a long time ago. Now that we are surrounded by the Heavenly Court, he immediately made his move. He is taking advantage of this opportunity to rob us of our origin so that he can keep all the mutated origin for himself. Damn it. Lu Chansha also frowned. She tried to use the Otherworld's power, but she could only feel her source energy being grabbed by the giant hand. It was about to leave her body and fly towards the giant hand. The other party's power was huge. Her source energy was attracted to it. This must be the biggest ball of mutation source energy. Buzz, the Otherworld seemed to be sealed by some power. Then the huge source energy entered the Otherworld. The Otherworld suddenly shrunk and disappeared. Zhang Ziren and the others' attacks missed. Damn it, the biggest ball of mutation source energy has appeared. The Sun Moon Lord Hua Mingsha said, "We've finally lured him out." It seems like our plan is working. Let him fight with Long Xiangtian's group first, then we'll be able to pacify the human world. I'm afraid this isn't a good idea. If we allow that Ho to subdue Long Xiangtian and the others, his strength will increase, and we will be even more helpless against him. With so many of us working together, we are barely able to suppress the otherworldly world. In addition to that, there's also that evil person with a huge mutated source. The human world will be thrown into chaos again. We must hunt him down immediately. Even if we work together, we are not a match for Long Xiangtian. The earthly sovereign said that Liao's mutated origin is so huge that only the heavenly sovereign can suppress it. If we fight it, we will be devoured by it. Then what should we do now? The mighty miracle god asked. In the depths of his heart, he said, as expected, these are troubled times. Right now, I don't know who will be the final victor. I have to place more bets. I can't place all my bets on the Sky Emperor. Otherwise, I'm afraid that my end will be miserable in the future. As long as you help me, I have a plan. Zhang Ziren said. Oh, what plan do you have? Lord of Sun Moon Hua Mingsha asked. The power of the mortal world is extremely vast and unbelievable. As long as it's truly activated, I'm afraid it can overturn everything. Although I'm the Lord of the mortal world, it's impossible for me to fully activate the mortal world after it's formed. However, as long as everyone here helps me, I'll enforce justice on behalf of the heavens and operate the mortal world, Zhang Ziren said. Once this formation is completed, the power of the mortal world will be gathered in my body, and I will be able to find the location of the source of the huge mutation. At the same time, the power of the mortal world will be completely strengthened, and all the cultivators who have cultivated magic power and lost their physical bodies will be tainted by the mortal world, weakening their strength. This will be the greatest power of the mortal world in the future. Now is not the time. The great spirit god and the others were startled. They all knew that there were countries collecting the power of worship in the human world. If the entire human world was filled with the power of the red dust, then it would not be easy for them to collect the power of worship. They wouldn't even dare to casually descend to the human world. If that was the case, they wouldn't be able to do anything. In fact, the battle between the Celestial Arch and Gu Chansha, as well as the possessor of the huge variant origin source, was something the mighty miracle god and the others could not wait for. Without order, they would be fighting day and night. Only then could they fish in troubled waters. What do you think? Zhang Ziren looked at the 9 heavenly kings, Hua Mingsha, and the earthly sovereign. In the heavenly court, the Lord of Sun and Moon was the most respected. The earthly sovereign and the Lord of Sun and Moon were on equal footing. The chaotic heavenly king was slightly weaker, but no one could control the other. Now, if the 3 people in the heavenly court agreed and helped Zhang Ziren, he would be able to complete his plan in the human world. He would activate the power of the red dust and change the appearance of the human world. This is a very important matter. We must get the decree from the Emperor of Heaven. If the Emperor of Heaven is willing, we will be duty-bound. Hua Mingsha was the first to speak. This person was created by the Emperor of Heaven. He would naturally follow the orders of the Emperor of Heaven. All right, I will contact the Emperor of Heaven. I hope the Emperor of Heaven will give the decree. The decree appeared above Zhang Ziren's head. At the same time, in the other world. The huge other world was still in the human world, but it had shrunk. It was hidden in a secret place in the human world. It was sealed by a powerful force. Then, many people entered the other world. Yuan Gu, Pu Tuo, Do Sheng, dozens of sky primal experts, hundreds of heavenly venerables, and thousands of saints and gods. These people were setting up a great spell formation, and a huge amount of sacrificial power poured into the other world. As the spell formation operated, a lot of undying substance appeared, which began to seep into the other world's gray space and take control of it. This was a brazen attempt to refine the other world. But as the controller of the other world, Long Xiangtian, Jining Sha, Lu Chansha, and the others didn't dare to move. They could only watch a young man with his hands behind his back staring at them. This young man was wearing black and white clothes. There was a circle of light behind his head. There seemed to be two majestic forces fighting in the light, creating all sorts of terrifying scenes. The life and death of worlds were like floating clouds. Time and space were like quicksand. Long Xiangtian had only seen this kind of power from the Emperor of Heaven and Gu Qinsha. Damn it, I don't know what kind of dogshit luck this guy has. He actually obtained the largest mutated essence. That mutated essence is 100 times bigger than mine. I'm no match for it all. Now he wants to control the otherworldly world we've worked so hard to create, and we're helpless. Long Xiangtian was very depressed. He was very pessimistic about his future. He was angry, but there was nothing he could do. What do you mean? Do you really want to fight to the death? Jiningsha saw a large group of people appear in the other world. The young man in black and white clothes moved her formation into the other world and started refining it. She knew that he wanted to take her foundation, but there was nothing she could do. This person was way stronger than her. Fight to the death. The young man in black and white clothes laughed. The fish will die, but the net won't break. You're so weak. How can you compare to me? Submit to me and give me control of the other world. That way you can avoid death. What's your name? Yi Qingyi stepped forward and cupped his hands. Oh, looks like you want to rely on me. They all call me master. But you're different. You also obtained the mutated source. You can call me Ancient Tao Immortal. The young man in black and white clothes said, You people are named Sha because you want to fight for some future fate. But I'm one step ahead of you. Chapter 950. Chapter 947. Overbearing, this guy is so close to death. He's fighting for fate energy, but he doesn't know he's digging his own grave. When Gu Qinsha heard this black and white, clothed young man call himself Ancient Tao Immortal, he knew that after obtaining a huge mutated origin, he became extremely arrogant. He wanted to seize some kind of destiny from the unseen world. So he changed his name to Ancient Tao Immortal. But this fate energy couldn't be taken, as it would be a great disaster in the future. Ancient Tao Immortal? Hearing this, Ji Ningsha frowned. You want us to submit to you? But aren't you being a bit too violent? You want to refine our world? You must know that if you touch our bottom line, we will destroy both good and bad. We will blow up this other world so that you will not be able to obtain anything. Are you threatening me? The expression of the black and white young man, Gu Daoxian, changed. Don't worry. You've underestimated my power. Even if you blow up the alternate world, I can refine the remaining vital chi in the alternate world anew, turning it into a piece of metal. As for your essence, it is actually indestructible. I can collect your essence and merge it into my body, making me even more powerful. So you're saying that you've got us? Long Xiangtian asked. In this world, the strong eat the weak. That's the truth. I'm stronger than you, so you have to accept it. If you don't accept it, then you have to die. Long Xiangtian, I've been observing you for a long time. You're a proud and arrogant person, but it's a pity that fate isn't on your side. As soon as you're born, you're ready to make a big move and refine the Great Stone Wall. Unfortunately, Gu Qinsha schemed against you once, and in the end, you've been bullied everywhere. Don't you understand why? Could it be that you still think you can turn the tables on your own? The black and white youth, Gu Daoxian, let out a cackle. What's in it for me to serve you? Long Xiangtian said, I know that if you kill us and take our source energy, you can strengthen yourself. But that's just killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. If you can make us submit, we'll help you control the human world, do all sorts of things, and then offer sacrifices to you. You'll get the most benefits. You should know that our sacrifices are of high quality, and they'll be very useful to you. Killing us is like killing a chicken that lays golden eggs. That's right. It's good to have such an understanding. If it wasn't for that, I would have killed and refined all of you a long time ago. Now that the mortal world needs to be ruled by someone, I can make use of all of you. In other words, all of you are of value to me. But if all of you are stubborn, then there's nothing I can do. I'll just treat you as if you've lost your value, and then I'll kill you. Gu Daoxian clapped his hands, then stared at Jiningsha, Luchansha, Yunisha, and the other women. He nodded again. Not bad, not bad. You women will become my concubines. I won't let you suffer any losses. You'll become my women. Not bad, right? The Emperor Heaven has those concubines, and I have you as well. I can see that your quality is even higher than that of the Emperor Heaven's concubines. In the future, when I control the whole world, you'll share my supreme power and invincible authority with me. Don't even think about it. Lu Chansha was furious. Gu Daoxian, you're just lucky to have obtained a large amount of mutated source energy. Do you really think that this kind of luck can make you the master of the world, the only one in the world? That's just wishful thinking. Looks like you really don't want to serve me. Since that's the case, you've lost your value. I have no choice but to kill you as a warning to others. The black and white young man, Gu Daoxian, was not angry. Instead, a savage smile appeared at the corners of his lips. However, I can't bear to kill you just like that. I'll make you suffer. Aren't you unwilling to become my woman? But this matter is not up to you. Gu Daoxian, you're being so overbearing because you want us to serve Gu Chench's eternal world. You should know that as long as we serve him sincerely, Gu Chensha will immediately come to save us. Jiningsha said, You're still not a match for Gu Chensha. Ha ha ha. The black and white young man, Gu Daoxian, laughed wildly. I'm not a match for Gu Chensha? You're looking down on me too much. Sooner or later, I'll make all of Gu Chench's women my women. For example, that Doi Yu is Gu Chench's woman, right? She and Gu Chensha gave birth to Gu Xingjian. This woman will be the first to become my woman. I want to see what Gu Chensha can do to me. Don't you think so, Do Sheng? The black and white young man, Gu Daoxian, asked Do Sheng. Do Sheng hurriedly said respectfully, My lord will definitely be able to destroy Gu Chensha and the Emperor of Heaven. I am the sole ruler of the world. My lord will definitely be my lord. You're too arrogant. Jiningsha shook her head. Since that's the case, there's nothing for us to talk about. If you have the ability, then kill us all. I think you're still not strong enough. You can't use such a huge origin. So if you want to kill us, there's still some difficulty. Otherwise, time is of the essence, and you wouldn't be talking so much nonsense. You really have sharp eyes. The black and white youth Gu Daosha didn't deny it, nor did he panic. Jiningsha, we're all beings born from variant origin. I think you can see things more clearly than others. Not bad, not bad. My subordinates lack people like you. This time, it's not up to you. Also, Long Xiangtian, I don't care about others. I can give you a chance. If you join me, I'll immediately capture Gu Chench's women. After I've enjoyed them, I'll give you Gu Chench's women. How about it? Another thing is that you're already at a disadvantage in this small group. You have no status at all. If you join me, I will give you great power. At the very least, you will be the Lord of the Sun and Moon under the command of the Sky Sovereign. Moreover, I promise you that you will never die and will never face any calamities or tribulations. As long as you restrain your ambition and remain below me, I will satisfy any of your requests. All right, it's a deal. Long Xiangtian suddenly said, In that case, I'll give you part of my control over the other world. Long Xiangtian, a few of them glared angrily. The other world was controlled by 8 people. Long Xiangtian, Lu Chansha, Yi Qingyi, Yanisha, Jiningsha, and the other 2 sisters, Lian Liansha and Mei Shisha. Finally, Gu Chench's alias, Wen Shisha. The other world was divided into 8 parts. Each of them controlled one part. No one could interfere with anyone else. Just like the system left behind by the prehistoric technological civilization, it was controlled by the 12 leaders. However, if Long Xiangtian gave up a part of his control, the black and white youth Gu Daoxian would immediately break through a line of defense. The other world would fall into Gu Daoxian's hands. I'm also willing to give up my control, Yi Qingyi suddenly said. What? Jiningsha's expression changed again. I don't have much ambition. I don't want to die with you. I'll follow whoever's stronger. Yi Qingyi said, As long as Lord Gu Daoxian can guarantee my strength and life, and don't devour my source, I'll definitely follow you. Good, good, good. The black and white youth Gu Daosha laughed again. Yi Qingyi, you've won my heart. Not only will I not take away your source, but after we destroy the heavenly court and the eternal world, I'll allow you to choose any treasure or woman you want. As long as you don't betray me, I'll make sure you'll never be worn down. Also, the name isn't suitable, and neither is the name. I'll change your name to Gu Qingsha. Only then can you enjoy fate in the future. Thank you for the name, Master. I'm very grateful. Yi Qingyi, who was Gu Qingsha, whose name had been changed, actually knelt down. Then why aren't you giving me control over the other world? The black and white youth Gu Daoxian stretched out his hand. Right now, Gu Daoxian had entered the other world and controlled the situation. However, he couldn't kill or capture this group of people in a hurry. So, he had to defeat them one by one and gradually split them up. Long Xiangtian and Yi Qingyi looked at each other and activated their power. Immediately, a portion of the other world's control flew out. However, at that moment, Lu Chansha suddenly moved. She used some sort of secret technique, and Long Xiangtian and Yi Qingyi's source energy and control all flew towards her. ZZZZ, Lu Chansha's aura immediately swelled, as if a huge electric current had passed through her body. In an instant, she had devoured Yi Qingyi and Long Xiangtian's source energy, as well as the control over the other world. Her strength had increased by several times. Moreover, she now controlled 30% of the other world's control, which was more than anyone else. She had absolute control over it. At that moment, Long Xiangtian and Yi Qingyi had lost all of their power and cultivation, and they had become ordinary people. This is... Long Xiangtian roared in dissatisfaction. Lu Chansha, you're my woman, yet you dare to betray me? This is the Dragonless Heart technique. Only the Dragonless Heart technique has this kind of power. Long Xiangtian, I'm not your woman. I'm the one controlling you from the start. I could tolerate your stupid actions in the past. But now, you actually betrayed us, betrayed the otherworldly world. Do you know that the word otherworldly carries a great amount of fate energy? Ever since you named the soaring dragon heavenly world as otherworldly world, our fate energy has stabilized, and we have our own foundation. It can be said that our otherworldly world will be able to survive even if someone obtains the heaven and earth in the future. What does otherworldly world represent? It represents a power that is outside of the great Tao, and it can still exist. But you, because of a bit of selfishness, you can't see the importance of the otherworld, and you don't understand the word otherworld. As for the Dragonless Heart technique, to tell you the truth, it's something that has never been seen before. Why don't we learn it? Lu Chansha coldly laughed. Long Xiangtian, you're too short-sighted. You don't have the right to obtain the variant source energy. Chapter 951. Pervading the Human Realm. Chapter 948. Pervading the Human Realm. I can't accept this. UB*TCH. Long Xiangtian roared loudly. The feeling of being knocked down from the clouds into the mortal world was definitely not a good one. He had never thought that he would one day become an ordinary person. You reap what you sow. Jiningsha looked at Long Xiangtian and Yi Qingyi, laughing coldly. You don't even know how to name yourselves. No wonder you've met with a calamity. How about it? Gu Daoxian, you tried to divide us, but now you've failed at the last moment. The black and white young man, Gu Daoxian, shook his head. Do you think that without Long Xiangtian and Yi Qingyi joining me, I won't be able to refine your otherworld? Your thinking is far too naive. Dragonless Heart technique, activate. Lu Chansha's body moved, and countless runes immediately seeped into the otherworld, causing the otherworld's power to condense and shrink inwardly. It actually started to refine the sacrificial power that the black and white young man, Gu Daoxian, had infused into it. Just like that, the great formation that the black and white young man, Gu Daoxian, had set up was infusing power into the otherworld. Dragonless Heart technique, what a good one. The black and white young man, Gu Daoxian's expression became cold. Do you think that you can escape from me, just like that? Since that's the case, I'll let you see my true power. He spread out his hands, and a heavenly court suddenly appeared in his palms, as well as an eternal world. His left hand was the heavenly court, while his right hand was the eternal world. No one knew what secret technique he had used to transform into such powerful existences. Waves of power spread out from his hands, as if they were about to tear apart the other world, destroy the cosmos, occupy the mortal world, and dominate the universe. Jiningsha and the others were all stunned. No matter if it's the heavenly court, the eternal world, the Emperor Heaven, or Gu Chansha, they were all born from the heavenly way and the Gu Taxian. Therefore, the heavenly way and the Gu Taxian are the source of the heavenly court and the Gu Chansha. I obtained the greatest source of variation, and from it, I deduced the secrets of the Emperor Heaven and the Gu Chansha. It can be said that as long as I gather power, I can completely create another Emperor Heaven and Gu Chansha. These two people are frogs at the bottom of a well, struggling in a swamp. Unlike me, who has already combined the essence and power of the heavenly way and the Gu Taxian, how can the two of them compare to me? The black and white young man, Gu Daoxian, activated his divine technique, causing the other world to turn upside down. My name is Gu Daoxian. It's because I've gathered the essence of the heavenly way and the Gu Taxian. I'm sure you all think that I'm too arrogant for choosing this name. Not only did I not take the fate energy, but things will reverse when they reach an extreme. However, this is not something you all can understand. It's precisely because I'm not afraid of all tribulations that I chose this name. Even when the Gu Taxian and the heavenly way were at their peak, I had enough methods to suppress and kill them all. As he spoke, the black and white young man, Gu Daoxian, laughed loudly. Otherworld break, rumble. As the black and white young man, Gu Daoxian's palms moved, the heavenly court and the eternal world grew larger and larger, as if they were going to occupy the other world. Pooh! Jiningsha, Lu Chansha, and the others coughed up a mouthful of blood. They had never imagined that the black and white young man, Gu Daoxian, would have a technique like this. If that was the case, the other world would not be able to hold on. Don't be afraid. He's just trying to scare us. Right now, he's using all of his power, and that's all he can do. Think about it. How could he surpass Gu Chansha and the Emperor of Heaven? He only has a bit more essence than we do. Lu Chansha worked hard to activate the Dragonless Heart Sutra. Everyone, if we cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra together and transform our power, we'll definitely be able to stand against this fiend. This fiend is insane. Even if he refines the other world, he won't be able to leave us behind. Rather than die, we might as well go all out. The Dragonless Heart Sutra is a good thing, and it's not a bad thing for us to cultivate it. You're afraid that if you cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra, you'll be controlled by that Gu Chansha. But I don't think so. If that Gu Chansha wants to use the Dragonless Heart Sutra to control all the living beings in the world, the Dragonless Heart Sutra isn't so mysterious. It's just SOSO. If Gu Chansha wants to create an unprecedented civilization, then the Dragonless Heart Sutra will definitely be open and above board. Everyone can cultivate it, and everyone can use it to gain enlightenment of their own hearts. Good. The Dragonless Heart Sutra is actually very widespread. Cultivators don't have to painstakingly search for it. In fact, the Dragonless Heart Sutra can be passed down in the eternal world. Everyone can cultivate it. We've also obtained quite a few cultivation methods. Since that's the case, let's use the Dragonless Heart Sutra to control the other world. Immediately, everyone else activated the Dragonless Heart Sutra. The power of the Dragonless Heart Sutra filled the entire other world, causing it to writhe and actually suppress the power of the black and white young man, Gu Daoxian. At the same time, all of the injuries that Jiningsha and the others had sustained were completely healed. The Dragonless Heart Sutra seemed to have a special power that opened up their hearts, the greatest power in the depths of their hearts. That power was boundless and without end. The Dragonless Heart Sutra is truly mysterious. This Heart Sutra opens up our own power in the depths of our hearts. Without the help of external objects, we can obtain true eternity, true indestructibility. Our ability to gain enlightenment is far greater than that of ordinary people, so our cultivation speed far exceeds that of ordinary people. However, we won't be controlled by Guchen Sha. Our otherworld, when the word otherworld is used, it represents independence. Damn it, the Dragonless Heart Sutra. The black and white young man, Gu Daoxian, was clearly enraged. Guchen Sha, you be Astra's start. To think that you created such technique. You want to create a brand new era of civilization. I definitely won't let you succeed. You have to die. If I can't subdue the alternate world today, I'll throw your eternal world into chaos. I'll make all your subordinates die without a place to be buried. I can't do anything to you right now, but I can kill all of your subordinates at will. Is that so? At that moment, Gu Chencha's sand of civilization suddenly spoke. As soon as Gu Chensha opened his mouth, crackling sounds could be heard. An even more powerful wave of dragonless power swept out, instantly destroying all of Gu Daoxian's spell formations. Yuan Gu, Do Sheng, Pu Tuo, and the others were all pushed out. Even Gu Daoxian himself was sent out of the other world. The sand of civilization. You, Lu Chan Sha, Jining Sha, and the others were all shocked. Gu Chen Sha also left the other world and stood in front of Gu Daoxian. Gu Daoxian, you're quite bold. You actually dare to show yourself. Actually, given your power, if you were to hide and work in secret, you really could establish a major power. Unfortunately, you're too arrogant. Do you really think that just because you're a combination of the Tao of Heaven and the Grand Emperor, you can do whatever you want? You even said that you could create the eternal world and the heavenly court, and even the Emperor of Heaven and myself. Gu Chansha shook his head. As I see it, you're nothing more than a copy of Long Xiangtian. You've obtained a bit more of essence than Long Xiangtian, but you're fundamentally no different. You still can't understand the profound truths. What a pity. In that case, I'll strip you of all of your essence, turning you into an ordinary person like Long Xiangtian. Then, you can meditate in the eternal world, as long as you're willing to let go of your glory. If you train in the Dragonless Heart Sutra, you'll be able to return to your peak. Gu Chunsha, you finally appeared. It's a pity that this is the human world, not your eternal world. You and the Emperor of Heaven are archenemies. Once you leave the eternal world, your power will drop drastically. Without the support of the eternal world, you can't do anything to me. The black and white youth, Gu Daoxian, looked at Gu Chunsha in front of him. You should know how great the essence of my body is. It's far above yours. Right now, the only thing you can rely on is the batch of believers you've absorbed in the eternal world. These believers are endlessly providing you with sacrificial power, allowing you to possess a tremendous amount of resources. When you created the eternal world, you devoured the warships and systems of the prehistoric civilization, and you also devoured the divine prefecture and the 4 desolates of the original heaven realm to finally create this world. This is your trump card. I admit that if you were to activate the eternal world, I would indeed not be a match for you. But right now, you're alone in this human world, and you're being suppressed by the power of the human world. There's also the Emperor of Heaven watching you, ready to act against you at any moment. The true body of the Emperor of Heaven is hiding in your eternal world, ready to seize control of your eternal world at any moment. Yet, you still dare to boast shamelessly to me? Your analysis is clear and logical, but it's a pity that it's too idealistic. Gu Chensha waved his hand. Since that's the case, I'll let you familiarize yourself with the dragonless cultivation technique. Gu Chensha didn't do anything. A long river of civilization appeared behind him. In an instant, this long river pierced through the various voids of the human world. It was as if everyone in the human world could see this long river of civilization. At this moment, the sun, moon, and stars in the entire human world lost their light. Only Gu Chencha's long river of civilization remained. When all the living beings in the human world saw this long river, they saw their own shadows within it. In this shadow, the fate of all living beings the development of their future, and the principles of choice were all transmitted into the hearts of all living beings. In an instant, almost all living beings in the human world had the thought of cultivating the dragonless cultivation technique. Gu Chunsha didn't tempt the living beings. He just placed the absolute truth in front of all living beings and let them choose for themselves. When all living beings saw the absolute truth, they would naturally be filled with respect and cultivate this technique. The more people who cultivated the dragonless cultivation technique, the easier it would be for the world to change. When that terrifying thing appeared in the future, Gu Chunsha would be more confident in suppressing it. Right now, Gu Chunsha was most concerned about the birth of that thing. Everything else was put aside. The moment the heavenly Tao and Gu Taxian collapsed at the same time, the tribulation would truly begin, and the terrifying existence would be born. Therefore, he didn't plan to wait any longer and immediately refine the human world. At the same time, he would also refine this black and white youth, Gu Daoxian, in front of him. He wanted to see what the Emperor of Heaven was going to do. The Divine Arms Battalion is now recruiting new members. The 4th QQ Group, Temple of All Saints. Group number 582140987. Students who join the group can be invited to the Divine Arms Dojo to play and practice martial arts. They can also receive my birthday wishes, cakes, signed books, and various other gifts. They can even appear on camera in videos. Also, the Dragon Talisman book is about to be completed. Students who join the group can be the first to know about my new book. Don't miss it. Chapter 952. Devour in one mouthful. Chapter 949. Devour in one mouthful. Gu Chunsha was going to go to war and test the strength of the human realm and the Emperor of Heaven. As for the black and white youth before him, Gu Daoxian, he was not a great enemy. He was just trouble. Trouble could be dealt with, but it was hard to say who would win against a great enemy. Gu Daoxian was a small trouble, but the Emperor of Heaven was a great trouble. In the future, the terrifying thing created by Gu Taxian and the heavenly Tao would be the true great enemy. However, trouble had to be dealt with. If he did not deal with the small trouble and the great trouble, when that terrifying thing appeared in the future, Gu Chunsha would be forced into a passive position. It was not impossible that he would be defeated and killed in the end. He activated his Dragonless Heart Sutra, gathering all of his power. In an instant, all living beings in the human realm could feel the Dragonless Heart Sutra seeping into the depths of their hearts, planting a seed. These seeds would sprout sooner or later. You actually dare to not take me seriously. The black and white youth, Gu Daoxian, was furious. He saw that in the instant that Gu Chunsha attacked, most of his power was used to suppress the human realm. Only a small part of his power surged towards him. He knew that Gu Chunsha was looking down on him, and he could not suppress his killing intent. Kill. The black and white youth, Gu Daoxian, did not even think. Eternal Realm and the Celestial Court rose behind him again. Gu Chunsha, I will do what I say. I can create you and the Emperor of Heaven. You are all just my playthings. Whoosh. 2 streaks of light shot towards Gu Chunsha like shooting stars. Gu Chunsha didn't even look at it. He flicked his finger, and suddenly, a portion of the Dragonless Heart Sutra's winding river split off, wrapping around the Eternal Realm and the embryonic form of the heavenly court created by the black and white young man, Gu Dao Immortal. The flames of civilization rose up from within and began to melt. Come back. The black and white youth, Gu Daoxian, had not expected that Gu Chunsha would be so powerful. He immediately wanted to take back the Eternal Realm and Celestial Court he had created because they were transformed from his source. He had thought that they could suppress Gu Chunsha, but he had not expected that Gu Chunsha would be able to do it so easily. You want to take it back so badly? Don't you think you're a little naive? Gu Chunsha grabbed again, and the embryonic forms of Eternal World and Heavenly Court were already in his hands. Crackling sounds could be heard as they returned to their original form. This was the mutated original form, and it was about the size of Long Xiang Tian. Not bad, not bad. You can afford it. You have 100 times more mutant origin energy than Long Xiang Tian. Losing 1% of it is not a big deal to you. With a wave of his hand, Gu Chansha absorbed the mutated source that was equivalent to Long Xiang Tian into his body. In this exchange, Gu Chansha had swallowed Long Xiang Tian. B** starred. In the first exchange, the black and white youth, Gu Daoxian, had actually lost 1% of his original form, which made him even more furious. However, at this moment, he could tell that no matter how powerful he was no match for Gu Chansha. He had thought that Gu Chansha would not use the power of Eternal World and would only be able to suppress his real body. However, from the looks of it, Gu Chansha's real body was much more powerful than his. If they were to continue fighting, it was very likely that he would be completely suppressed by Gu Chansha. Swoosh! Not caring about losing face, the black and white youth Gu Daoxian flew up and fled outside. Running away? Do you think you can escape? Gu Chansha could not be bothered to get entangled with the black and white youth, Gu Daoxian. All of a sudden, he retracted his dragonless mental cultivation technique, and the vast river of civilization in the sky retracted, turning into a huge mouth that swallowed the black and white youth, Gu Daoxian. The interior of this huge mouth seemed to be in chaos. Countless thunderbolts, earth, water, fire, and wind circulated, controlling creation and the birth and death of millions and millions of worlds in an instant. Seeing this huge mouth coming to swallow him, the black and white youth, Gu Daoxian, felt as if he had experienced billions and billions of civilizations in that instant. Even his consciousness was lost in the reincarnation of those civilizations. Why? The black and white youth, Gu Daoxian, roared out, "Why is this B** starred so powerful? To think that I can't even take a single attack from him, and this is even under the situation where he hasn't used Eternal World. His real body is even stronger than mine. Doesn't that mean that his cultivation might even be close to the heavenly Tao in the future?" Faced with the huge mouth that Gu Chansha had turned into, the black and white youth, Gu Daoxian, was simply unable to retaliate at all. All of his counterattacks were futile. Gu Chansha would not give him any chance and would swallow him up in one gulp. Rumble. Just as the black and white youth, Gu Daoxian, was about to be devoured, the entire human realm suddenly trembled violently. From the core point, the human realm's power started to explode, and seething chi of the mortal world spread out in all directions, polluting all living things, causing their cultivation to become difficult and degenerate. The 7 emotions and 6 desires, the boundless mortal world, filled the entire human realm. Sensing the changes in the human realm, Gu Chansha nodded. The heavenly court has finally made up its mind and opened up the final perfection of the human realm. After the complete version of the human realm is successfully changed, it will be filled with the power of the mortal world. The 7 emotions and 6 desires will be mixed within the spiritual chi, making cultivation extremely difficult. It can also pollute people who have cultivated magic power. Anyone who has reached the 20 changes of the Tao realm, gathering and dispersing impermanence, and has completely cultivated their bodies in a magic power. If they remain in the human realm, their magic power will be polluted by the 7 emotions and 6 desires of the mortal world. In the worst-case scenario, they will fall into reincarnation, never to be reincarnated, and even their souls won't be preserved. These cultivators who have cultivated magic power, whether they are gods, saints, or even celestial venerables, celestial life, and celestial essence, all have to return to the celestial realm or the God realm. Otherwise, as time passes, they will be contaminated, and it will be extremely troublesome. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The power of the mortal world swept out, filling up the human realm. In an instant, Gu Chansha saw that many spaces seemed to have opened up in the sky. Many cultivators who had reached the 20 changes of the Tao realm, gathering and dispersing impermanence, were directly sucked into the celestial realm. In other words, these people had ascended. Gu Chunsha could see with his naked eye that the celestial realm was expanding rapidly. The current master of the celestial realm was Jiang Chuan. He was originally a member of the Dragonless Cabinet. Normally, he didn't show his talents and was just a young talent. However, at the most crucial moment, he actually betrayed the Dragonless Cabinet and the Imperial Court to become the master of the celestial realm. Now that he had activated the celestial realm, it was sucking in all the cultivators in the human realm. In an instant, countless cultivators who had cultivated magic power were sucked into the celestial realm. Immediately, the celestial realm began to expand, supporting the human realm and establishing a perfect order. And at this time, the mighty miracle god also opened up the divine world, sucking many deity realm experts into it. Moreover, within the divine world, many true god positions were instantly created. These true god positions were used as a lure, causing many deity realm experts to settle down and work for the heavenly court wholeheartedly. At this moment, demons returned to the demon Tao, devils to the demon Tao, gods to the god Tao, immortals to the immortal Tao, and humans to the human Tao. Ghosts entered the underworld and reincarnated. The entire human realm expanded once again and was almost indestructible. Under the urging of some kind of power, the enormous power of the human realm once again condensed into an extremely bright light that entered the giant mouth formed by Gu Qinsha and then exploded. Rumble. The giant mouth formed by the Dragonless Heart Sutra that Gu Qinsha had activated was instantly shattered by the power of the human realm. Moreover, his body was being rejected by the human realm, as if he would be squeezed out of the human realm at any moment. Wonderful. Faced with what was happening, Gu Qinsha couldn't help but nod. He didn't panic in the slightest, as if everything was within his calculations. This was the Heavenly Court's strongest counterattack. If the Heavenly Court still didn't retaliate, he would devour the black and white youth Gu Daoxian and then spread the Dragonless Heart Sutra in the human realm. No matter how powerful the Emperor of Heaven was, he wouldn't be able to turn the tables. Therefore, everyone in the Heavenly Court, the 9 heavenly kings, the master of the sun and moon, the stars in the sky, the 129,600 celestial lords, the master of the 5 realms, and all sorts of people who had defected to them, gathered together to carry out the great sacrifice. During the sacrifice, the human realm quickly stabilized, order was established, and everyone returned to their Tao. As long as the human realm stabilized, the power of the human realm would increase greatly, and the Emperor of Heaven would be able to unleash his full power. The human realm is indeed worthy of being called the human realm. For the time being, it's still the leader of all the worlds. Its fortune is so rich that even my eternal world can't compare to it. From the fact that so many mutated essences fell into the human realm instead of my eternal world, it can be seen that the human realm has the ability to attract those mutated essences. In that instant, many thoughts flashed through Gu Qinsha's mind. It seems that the fortune of the human realm will continue until that terrifying thing is born. That terrifying thing will eventually fall into the human realm and be born. Expulsion of the human realm. At this time, high up in the sky, a great formation seemed to have appeared. This great formation was constantly operating. Zhang Ziren lived in it and used the power of the entire mortal realm to completely expel Gu Dusha from the mortal realm. He also wanted to prevent Gu Dusha from ever coming to the mortal realm again. Gu Qinsha, the human realm doesn't belong to you. You'd better get out of here. Matters of the human realm belong to the living beings of the human realm. The living beings of the human realm have their own order. If you interfere, you will be expelled by the human realm. Zhang Ziren looked at Gu Qinsha. In that case, I'll consume the human realm. Gu Qinsha once again unleashed the Dragonless Heart magic, and a huge mouth once again formed. The Dragonless Heart magic transformed into a huge mouth that swallowed up heaven and earth, swallowed up the cosmos, swallowed up the void, and swallowed up time and space. This time, Gu Chench's dragonless heart magic transformed into a huge mouth that was even more ferocious and huge. It actually wanted to devour the human realm, the experts of the heavenly court, and even the black and white youth, Gu Daoxian. Also, the heavenly court and the Emperor of Heaven that seemed to have been created at the highest point in the human realm were also going to be devoured. Gu Chench's move was to use brute force to break through technique. No matter how many plans it has, I'll just devour them all. I want to see what tricks the Emperor of Heaven can play this time. Previously, Gu Chansha hadn't been able to see through the Emperor of Heaven's true strength. Now, he was going to unleash all of his power so that the Emperor of Heaven would have to face him head-on. If the Emperor of Heaven didn't use his full strength this time, he would be devoured until he was all alone. Chapter 953. True Attack. Chapter 950. True Attack. Many people of the heavenly court directly carried out a great sacrifice, activating the power of the human world, causing the human world to become more and more perfect. Gods returned to gods, devils returned to devils, immortals returned to immortals, humans returned to humans, and ghosts returned to ghosts. After the power of the human world reached perfection, there were endless changes everywhere. An unprecedented order was condensed. The people of the heavenly court borrowed the power of the human world not to suppress and kill Gu Chansha, because no matter how powerful the power of the human world was, it could not suppress Gu Chansha. What they could do now was to push Gu Chansha out, not letting Gu Chansha step into the human world. However, Gu Chansha was even more ruthless than these people. He directly activated his Dragonless Heart Sutra and began to circulate it, wanting to swallow the human world, the heavenly court, the Emperor of Heaven, and even everyone else into a huge mouth. The huge mouth formed by his Dragonless Heart Sutra was not a bloody devouring digestion, but a transformation, allowing everyone to understand the secrets of their own hearts. It had been a long time since Gu Chansha had killed someone. Ever since he had comprehended the Dragonless Heart Sutra, the most he could do was to take away all the cultivation of evil people and reduce them to mortals. This Gu Chansha is really ruthless. What do we do now? The people of the heavenly court set up a great formation to resist Gu Chansha, but they did not expect Gu Chansha to be so rude and unreasonable, directly activating the Dragonless Heart Sutra to turn into a huge mouth, devouring everything. The great spirit god and Jiang Chuan were terrified, especially Jiang Chuan. He betrayed the imperial court and became the ruler of the immortal world, thinking that he could stand out and have a bright future. But now that he saw Gu Chench's divine ability, he couldn't help but feel regret, because he felt that the Dragonless Heart Sutra could not succeed. Gu Chench's dream was also a castle in the air. The future belonged to the Emperor of Heaven. In his opinion, the Emperor of Heaven was much more powerful than Gu Chansha. But as he became the Lord of the immortal world, his cultivation base and knowledge grew. Every time his strength and cultivation level grew, his understanding of Gu Chansha grew more terrifying. Gu Chansha is really too powerful. He has surpassed the imagination of everyone I knew in the past. If I had stayed in the imperial court, perhaps I would have achieved even greater things. But now that I've chosen my path, I don't regret it. My status in the imperial court isn't high enough. Now that he was the Lord of the immortal world, his authority was awe-inspiring. In the future, he would gather all the immortals in the immortal world and establish absolute order. I can use the power of the immortals' sacrifices to perfect my cultivation. At the same time, I can also cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra and refer to Gu Chench's actions. Jiang Chuan's heart suddenly became firm. He felt that his actions were not wrong. He even firmly believed that the path he chose was right. I can combine the strengths of the Emperor of Heaven and Gu Chansha to create my own method. If I was in the everlasting world, I wouldn't be able to gather the power of sacrifices to improve myself. Now that I've become the Lord of the immortal world, there are many things I can do. Moreover, this human world will be the primary world in the future. I can even obtain variation essence. If I was in the everlasting world, I wouldn't be able to obtain variation essence. If I can coincidentally devour the essence of this ancient Tao immortal, then wouldn't I be able to immediately be reborn and reach the highest realm? Jiang Chuan's heart was filled with many thoughts. Zhang Ziren, I don't think we can stop Gu Chencha's devouring. Look, that ancient Tao immortal is fighting back, and so is the entire human world. But even together, they can't stop Gu Chencha. Right now, Gu Chencha doesn't seem to have used the power of the everlasting world. With his own power, he can suppress and devour the human world, the demon world, the devil world, the god world, the immortal world, and our 129,600 stars. Lord of the sun and moon, and even that ancient Tao immortal together aren't a match for him. Is he really that strong? Hua Mingsha was the Lord of the sun and moon who had been created by the Emperor Heaven. You could say that he was temporarily acting on behalf of the Emperor Heaven. His position was extremely high, and he was even stronger than the primal chaos heavenly kings. But even now, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He had originally thought that he could fight Gu Chencha, but now, even with so many people and so many worlds, they still weren't a match for Gu Chencha. He was filled with despair. Just how strong is that animal Gu Chencha? I can't even compare to a speck of dust in front of him. I can't accept this. I definitely can't accept this. I'm going to kill that animal. What? My attacks are insignificant in front of him. Ancient Tao, immortal, was almost hysterical. Gu Chencha, that bastard, is showing his power. He's not just going to devour me. He's going to devour the human world and the heavenly court. His power is infinitely close to the heavenly Tao. Gu Chencha is actually so strong. Jiningsha was even more shocked. She had already been pushed out of the human world, and the other world was still intact. Gu Chencha didn't devour them, but let them exist independently. After all, Gu Chencha himself had contributed a lot to the creation of the other world. The two words otherworld were even named by Gu Chencha, so the existence of the other world was also the fate of Gu Chencha. Long Xiangtian, did you see that? You still want to go against that Gu Chencha? Now that you've lost all your cultivation, how do you feel? Lu Chansha was also in the other world. She felt like she had just survived a disaster. She deeply felt that she had made the right choice. In the other world, she looked at the human realm from afar. She saw the vast human realm being swallowed by an even larger mouth. That mouth was formed by Gu Chencha's Dragonless Heart Sutra. In other words, the Dragonless Heart Sutra was much larger than the human world. It could even devour the heavenly court. You bitch, are you satisfied now? You actually took away my control and source. At this moment, Long Xiangtian made up his mind. He couldn't care less anymore. If I didn't take it away, you would have already given control to that Gu Daoxian. Then we would both be in a state of eternal damnation. Lu Chansha said, "This time, I won't argue with you. I will send both of you into the eternal world to be normal people. Maybe one day, you will completely comprehend it and cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra, opening up your mind and returning to the peak. You will be able to cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra much faster than normal people. It all depends on whether your hearts can change." Yi Qingyi was furious, but now that he had lost all his cultivation, he could only be manipulated by others. "All right, ignore these two cowards." Jiningsha said, "Sister Chansha, do you think Gu Chencha will win this battle? Emperor Heaven hasn't made a move yet. Right now, Gu Chencha has forced Emperor Heaven to the limit. Emperor Heaven has no choice but to make a move. Gu Chencha actually doesn't see Emperor Heaven as his true opponent. His opponent is the terrifying thing that was created after the destruction of the heavenly Tao and Gu Taxian. How terrifying is that thing?" Lu Chansha was also puzzled. "I heard that Gu Chencha divided immortality into 9 levels. The first level is void immortality. The second is micro-immortality. The third is small immortality. The fourth is medium immortality. The fifth is great immortality. The sixth is eternal immortality. The 7th is true immortality. The 8th is immortality, and the 9th is supreme immortality. From what I can see, the heavenly Tao, Gu Taxian, and Gu Chansha are actually at the same level. They have all reached the 8th level, immortality. Although Emperor Heaven is the incarnation of the heavenly Tao, his level is still a bit lower. He is only at the 7th level, true immortality. If I'm not wrong, the moment that terrifying thing was born, it should be the 9th level, the highest level, immortality. Jiningsha said, "We have to be careful about this. I think we can cooperate with Gu Chansha to deal with the upcoming calamity. If we rely on Emperor Heaven will also peak at our source. But Gu Chansha won't peak at our source. He can create his own source." I think so too. The more I cultivate the Dragonless Heart Sutra, the more I feel that it is profound and limitless. In the future, with the help of the Dragonless Heart Sutra, I'm afraid everyone will be able to cultivate to immortality, Lu Chansha said. "Look, Emperor Heaven finally can't help but make a move," Jiningsha said. Sure enough, everyone looked over. Rumble. In the highest sky of the human world, a heavenly court appeared. It was exactly the same as the divine central continent, but there were 4 legs below it, and the shape of the 4 legs was exactly the same as the 4 wildernesses. Emperor Heaven had actually created the complete heavenly court and the 4 wildernesses. The original heavenly court and the 4 wildernesses have been refined by Gu Chansha and fused into the everlasting world as its foundation. But Emperor Heaven had extracted immortality from the sacrifices of all living beings and created a new heavenly court that was even more powerful than the original. From this, it could be seen that Emperor Heaven's strength had reached a certain limit. He was even more powerful than the future Emperor Heaven. Emperor Heaven had also mutated. The heavenly court blossomed with boundless light, and a tall figure appeared in the middle of it. It was a young man, still faceless. He spoke in a booming voice. "Gu Chansha, your tribulation is coming. You're going against the flow now. This is your final madness. But you can't destroy the heavenly court. You can only destroy yourself. Do you understand? The human world can't be destroyed, and it can't be devoured by you. Everything in the human world, maintain your true nature." Under the celestial Thearcha's control, the mouth formed by Gu Chansha's dragonless mantra began to shrink. "You have some skill, Emperor Heaven." Gu Chansha laughed. "But you can't do anything to me. Your cultivation level is a bit lower than mine." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.